Welcome to another episode of Axe of the Blood God, an independent RPG podcast. I'm your host, Kat Bailey, hosting for the last time, maybe not forever, but for quite a while. But this is not the end of Axe of the Blood God. We are going to keep going after this, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Nadia Oxford.
Am I like host now? Because that scares the shit out of me. I think we're all hosts. I think we're like a polycule of hosts.
We're all the hosts. Lovely co-hosts. We're all the lovely co-hosts.
I think
around
the Hydra
here.
is what we've settled on. The
That's
Hydra
a good way to
of
put
the
it.
Blood God. Yeah,
The
because
Cerberus of the Blood God.
if you
Multiple
cut one
heads.
of us down, multiple will respawn.
One of those heads is like putting Metal Gear Acid 2 in the Pantheon poll.
That
And it lost.
yeah.
Sorry, Victor.
The sicko head is like going, ah. No,
Gnawing on
I
itself,
respect
yeah.
it. When I saw that Pantheon poll, I was like, I would never have done that. And you know what? That's great. Because we need fresh ideas, fresh sicko energy in this podcast. So I commend Victor. I tip my hat to him on that
So
one. Coming up with the card captor, trust in the heart of the cards, Pantheon poll. Also joining me, my equally lovely co-host, Eric Van Allen.
Yeah. I think we're going with the Hydra head. That just feels the most sensible. But yeah, it'll be. We talked about this last week, but we'll talk about it again. It'll be myself, Nadia, and Victor kind of trading off as we see fit for episode topics. So if one comes up that Nadia seems like she'd be a really good fit for, she'll kind of take the lead, run the episode. Same for me, same for Victor. We'll just kind of play off each other, and I think that's going to be a really interesting way to direct this moving forward. And I mean, again, if you want an example of what that looks like, the sound novel episode that Victor did a couple weeks ago, which I believe was really, really excellent and really, really good. That's a great example of it. It was a good one. So shout outs.
Shout outs. And of course, we're going to keep doing all the rest of our great Blood God content. But yeah, it's a little bit of an end of an era. Eric is going to be moving to Minnesota literally this week. A week after that, I'm moving to the UK and starting a new job. But this won't be the last time that I'm going to be on Axe of the Blood God. I will be returning maybe to be like, you know what, y'all, I finally played Yakuza 0, and I have opinions that I just want to share with all of you. I want to review this game with you, or maybe I'll get nostalgic with all of you. We'll see. And I do plan to be on end of the year episodes. I do plan to be a guest on Pantheons when I can. I have a lot of work to do to get set up in my new country. But this is also, as I already mentioned, the end of the era in the sense of I've been hosting this podcast pretty much continuously for 10 years now. I started in February of 2015 when Jeremy Parrish told me to start a podcast. And I said, well, what if I did an RPG podcast again? And he said, sure. And Axe of the Blood God was born, a podcast that, well, when we had originally done our one-up podcast called Active Time Babble, Axe of the Blood God had been on the list, and it somehow popped up again. And I found it funny. And that's always a great reason to name a podcast, to be like, what a funny name. I did not put a lot of thought into what would turn out to be a fairly significant part of my brand going forward, but here we are. And it kind of stuck. And as far as I'm concerned, the Blood God is the fourth chair, or maybe the fifth chair on this podcast. So we've got a lot of mileage out of this name over the years.
When we looked
like
down, there were only 4 sets of footprints in the sand. We're at 5 sets of footprints in the sand now because the Blood God was carrying all. That didn't work. It was 1 set of footprints because the Blood God was carrying all of us, right?
I love that we made 2 references at the same time, Eric. One was very Christian, the other was very Jewish. Because I said the sleep was for aliens.
Sleep is for what?
I was saying that like when Kat said the fourth chair, I said, oh, it's for Eliyahu, which is like when you have a Passover Seder, you leave a glass of wine for the prophet Elijah, and then drink it when no one's looking, and say
like
to the kids at the table,
cookies?
holy shit, Elijah the prophet was here. Look, he drank the wine. Now kids say, what?
I never knew that about this Seder, is that you leave out like milk and cookies for Santa. You leave out a glass of wine. That's
You can
correct.
get a glass of wine for Eliyahu.
If-
In fact, the one time that like we had a spare seat at some panel that I was at with my friend Diamond Fight, I said, "Hey, there's a seat for Eliyahu," and they were the only one who laughed because they were also Jewish.
Wow.
Kat, I do have a question for you before we start the AMA. If we had to leave
Yeah.
something out for you, what would it be?
Oh, what's the catnip?
I'm sorry. Leave something out for me.
Yeah. Santa
Like
gets
wine
milk and
or
cookies. Eliyahu.
For me
You
to
can say Elijah.
return from the
Elijah.
heavens. Oh, I've been eating macaroni and cheese all week. That sounds really good right now.
Like a Kraft Mac.
You want like a
Just
KD?
a big bowl of Kraft macaroni and
That
cheese for
does
your
sound
girl.
really good right now.
Yeah.
Booster packs.
Maybe-
booster packs.
One of the questions, so we're going to be doing a goodbye mailbag. And Eric, would you mind leading the goodbye mailbag
course.
segment when we get to it?
Of
Can
course.
you be the one to AMA me?
Yeah, I'll be postmaster.
One of the questions, to spoil it slightly, is like, what am I going to miss when I leave? One of the biggest changes is always the cuisine. And over the past many, many years, I've been extremely spoiled to live in California, home of just really outstanding Mexican food in particular. And
Yeah.
they've got Mexican food in England. I don't know how good it is. I know there's a Taco Bell in Guildford where I'm moving. We're going to see how it goes. So I'm not going to be able to go to my beloved Taco Bell cantina anymore. And there's a place in Alameda that I really love called La Pinca Azul, where I've been getting tacos and margs for quite a while.
That sounds
And
great,
I'm
actually.
going to miss that place a lot. I'm going to miss that place a lot, too. So
Also,
tacos and margs, leave that out for me, too.
Shout outs to,
Tacos
to
and
Max.
margs. What a combination.
Shout outs to Max Genius in the chat just now who gifted a bunch of subs.
Oh, thank you so
yay.
much, Max Genius.
Thank you, Max
We
Genius.
appreciate
If you didn't know that we live stream on Twitch, we live stream these episodes on twitch.tv/bloodgodpod. Hello.
Every week.
Well,
You can leave some
Uh,
magic cards out for me. That'd be nice.
Leave some magic.
Yeah,
cards
Kat,
out.
I've heard that, like, just having gone to some events in the north and, like, having people from San Francisco, they will not go to any Mexican restaurant that's anywhere, like, north of Texas. Like, it just doesn't happen.
I'm gonna have to cook a lot of my own Mexican food because
Yeah.
I mean, so here's the thing. I
have it,
try not to be picky about it, but like it's not that it's bad, it's just that it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so
Well, yeah, it's like I wouldn't eat poutine in America.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Y'all
there you go.
don't treat it right. God, Ontario doesn't treat it right, but it's good.
because sometimes you just end up, usually what happens is it's coming out of a kitchen that's also making other stuff that might not be Mexican food.
Right.
And so they might be subbing some ingredients out or taking some shortcuts or something like that, or just not using certain things that you might use down here.
Mm-hmm.
And so you end up with like, okay, it's refried beans, but they don't got any lard in them. Like what are we doing here? Like what,
Yeah.
What are we frying them in exactly?
yeah.
Well, we'll be getting to the goodbye mailbag in just a moment, but before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping. If you enjoy the show and you want it to continue, please support our new hosts at patreon.com/bloodgodpod, where for just $5 a month, you get the show ad-free. You get access to a lot of our bonus content. You get access to Charlene Dropouts. You get access to our newsletter, which shows up every Thursday, courtesy of Nadia Oxford.
Or does.
And it's always quite the read. I really enjoy
Always
it.
something.
It's always something in there. And you get access to our Discord and the rights to vote in our Pantheon polls and all that. And then also we got a Pantheon episode coming out really soon. It's for Mother 3. And then we have a Pantheon poll going right now. Mega Man Battle Network 2 is in the lead.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
it is
let's
won.
go.
It
The
won.
poll is closed. Yeah,
Poll's closed. It won.
Closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mega
Which
Man
by-
Battle Network 2 is our next Pantheon pick.
We will
I'm
have a
very excited
side
about
quest poll coming up soon too, because it's one of those weird months where side quest and Pantheon poll kind of overlapped, and so we will be doing a side quest poll soon for the side quest that'll be happening in November, and then Mega
I'm
Man
to watch
Battle
the Mega
Network
Man
2.
cartoon show.
That'd be kind of sick. We
Which
can throw
one?
that on there.
Super fighting
Yeah.
robot. It would have to be the
Mega
90s one.
Man. Yeah,
I
I
actually
mean,
love to do that.
obviously. Is there a manga? Or
There's
is there
probably is.
is there an anime? Is there like a
There-
serious dark anime about Mega Man?
Not
Online,
really.
maybe.
It's I'm sure Lanceheart in the chat can help me out here, but
There's multiple
I
manga.
guess I could just read
manga.
Astro Boy.
I have to say that like the manga for like the 90s manga that was done by what's his name? Iwamoto. I can't remember their first name right now, but they were a major influence on me because they were manga in Japanese I collected in the 90s / early 2000s, and I couldn't understand it, but the pictures were so beautifully drawn that I still love these manga to this day.
I have a clarifying point for us here. The side quest will be what is in October. That is for that.
Yeah.
November. Because the October, first week of October is when the
That's Mother
Pantheon is happening. Yeah, like so we've been doing the Pantheon for the last 2 months. And then October, first week of October is the Mother Pantheon. And then November will be the side quest, where we'll do whatever we end up voting for. And then first week of December will be the next Pantheon, which will be Mega Man Battle Network 2. I know it's still we're getting used to it. We've been doing it for almost a year now, but that also means we've only done this about like 4 or 5 times so far. So we're still
it's
getting
been a long
used to
time,
the trade-off.
and yet
I just want to point out
Stop pointing out we should have a calendar, mods. So we know
we should have a calendar. Well, one thing that I just want to observe is that we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation 1's release in the US this year.
Oh
We've
my
already done the
God.
PlayStation 2, but it's just a PlayStation kind of year. So
It is.
very significant. And I say 25th, it's actually been 30 years since the PlayStation 1 was released. Time flies, doesn't it?
Time flies, time.
It has been 30 years. Yes. Okay. For a second, I was going, wait, what year is it? Where am I? Who am I?
Who stole my false teeth?
Okay. Finally, every week we celebrate a Star of Destiny who gets access to our exclusive pre and post show. And this week's Star of Destiny is Fulcrum84. Fulcrum, thank you so much for your support.
We appreciate it so very much.
Okay, it's time now for our main segment, my farewell mailbag, my AMA. And for that, I'm going to symbolically hand over the reins to Eric to conduct this one. Eric,
All right.
take it away.
I'm gonna reach my hand down into the imaginary mailbag and pull up first question from Don't Listen to Ondor's Lies. Hi, Kat. First off, how dare you? That's it.
Yeah, Kat, how dare you?
No,
it was really hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, we're kind of jumping
difficult
into
choice.
the deep end
to
already.
upend everything you know, and you
But-
probably have to make that measure things up in your head.
I guess to lead the question a little bit, I mean, you're not being fully public about what the role is yet.
No.
But I'm
Not
led
yet.
to understand that it's a very exciting role and one that is gonna grow you a lot as a person. I think people, once they hear it, they're gonna be like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's really exciting, and it's one of the it's the kind of role that you move across the world for.
Exactly.
And
I would.
Ever since I've left IGN, I've always been like, well, I would really like a job that can let me continue doing the podcast. And it has to be a really special job in order for me to leave the pod.
Mhm.
And, well, this is a really special job. So here we are.
Sorry. Toodles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Obviously, it's really hard to leave behind this community. But
But you don't leave it behind. You're going to be on the Discord.
it's true. I'm going to be in the Discord. I'm going to be around.
Yeah.
Probably talking about Magic the Gathering. I'm really excited to be playing video games as more of a civilian now.
Isn't it nice?
And yeah, it will make me feel more normal about
Calling
It's
it
not
civilian
cramming
is
in games all the
crazy.
time.
Like we're in a war zone.
Yeah, I mean, at times it does feel like that.
It kind of does
Uh,
sometimes.
we're getting a lot of games releasing right now. It's Hades 2 came out this week. Silk Song. We're
Trails.
gonna have Ghost of Yotei coming out. I'm looking forward to that actually. The Tactics remake. I think I'm gonna buy. It's a real smorgasbord, and I'd like to pick and choose rather than kind of forcing myself to play games that I'm not altogether feeling, because I think that will make me more, I don't know, motivated to play it. So in another time and in another place, I would be thinking, okay, well, I gotta play this game and I have to force myself to get into it. Not that I have to really force myself to get into Silksong, because I've got coverage brain around it. I'm thinking
Right.
about all the news angles. I'm thinking about what people are talking about in the individual communities. And I look forward to just being able to enjoy a game on its own merit. How's that?
That's very fair. That is nice.
Mhm.
All right. From tentative title, we have Kat. What is your first RPG related memory of the UK? When did you first visit and what were you playing at the time?
Oh, interesting.
Wow. So the first time I ever went to the UK was in the year 2000. So 25 years ago. And I would have been 16 or 17 years old because it was about a month before my birthday. So 16. I would have been playing Pokemon at the time.
Nice.
Uncharacteristic
Because-
of you. Yeah, very
Very.
strange.
Well, maybe. Actually, there's a big question. I might have bounced off Pokemon by then. Because I got Pokemon in the Christmas of 98 and played it obsessively all of through 1999. And then maybe in early 2000 I would have been reaching the end of my Pokemon cycle, my initial Pokemon cycle, because I had beaten it multiple times. I'd restarted it. I had caught them all. I had raised many, many Pokemon up to level 100 and had been playing with my friends. So I might have been bored by that point. I think 2000 was the year also when I was really getting into Final Fantasy properly. So that was kind of the mindset that I was in. I remember we went to England and I found a game shop there, and I was looking at the games that were on order and I was like, Lilat Wars? What the heck is Lilat Wars?
Euro Turtles.
One of the things that I kind of miss about traveling abroad is the sense of newness and novelty.
Yeah.
And some of that is just me getting older and having been all over the world. But also some of it is the internet was just different back then. So England felt so much further away than it does now.
Yeah.
Now I literally sit here and I text with my friends in the UK or talk with them. I see pictures and videos from it all the time. In a way, I feel like I'm very connected to it and have been for many years now. Back then, the UK felt so mysterious, so different. I didn't know what they ate. I got there and I was like, what do they eat here? Well, pies.
They like
and
pies.
Indian
Pies?
food. It's like savory pies. They're really good.
Yeah.
Savory pies. Okay.
Yeah, savory
beef
pies,
pies.
meat
So
pies.
they're just chomping down
Meat
on
pies.
fruit pie all the time. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Exactly. So I didn't know what to expect. And when I got there, I was like, wow, this is so cool. That was my first time ever leaving the country properly. Sorry, Nadia, Canada doesn't count. So
I have
going
a lot
overseas.
of problems with. Okay, going overseas.
Going
I understand,
overseas.
but like, yeah,
Yeah. There's
is
a big
different.
difference between being in North America still and then literally getting on an airplane and going over to Europe.
They
Which
drive
is
on
what
a
I
different
did.
side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Laura in the
You
chat
did.
saying take spices with you. I can't believe you're encouraging Kat to already become a spice stealer before she even gets to the
Spice
UK.
That's true. They don't really do spices over there. UK palettes and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're in they have like. I mean, London's a multicultural city. I'm sure you can find whatever you need.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a very formative time in my life. I was really thinking about what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be at that time. And I definitely would have probably had a PlayStation. And I definitely probably would have been playing Final Fantasy VII. And that was what ultimately pushed me into being the host of Axe the Blood God, an independent RPG
Yay.
podcast.
Hey, on brand.
I know that.
Yeah,
I know
my
that.
origin story was going to England.
Kat, as you've been packing, are you finding this from criminal justice, by the way? Are you finding there are many things you can't stand to part with, things that you absolutely need?
Yeah, I've been trying to be ruthless about what I get rid of because I'm sure you're experiencing this too, right,
Yeah.
Eric? Where you go, I should really get rid of this. I don't need this to come with me.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
some
Post
stuff
going
that's
to
followed
Timbuktu.
me.
Yeah.
Aw.
There's some stuff that's literally followed
Sorry,
me
Bob.
all over the world, and I go, how do I still have this? My PC Engine Mini, like all of my little mini consoles.
Oh, that's one
My
that I thought you were saying you can't live without.
well, it's not so much a can't live without. I'm just going. Not only am I not getting rid of this, I'm bringing it with me.
I would.
And I'm going, every time I think to myself, well, I don't really need this. And then I go, but you can't get these games. You can't really easily play these games anywhere else and without a lot of modding. And also, PC engines just keep getting more and more expensive. These little things are impossible to find now.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe you'll be like, really homesick and you just need to play some Gradius or Rondo of Blood or Bomberman 94 on your PC Engine Mini. Maybe it should just be there available for you. So I'm bringing my PC Engine Mini with me.
Yeah, I had to pack my SNES Classic because it still has the FF6 save file on it.
We'll get there
And,
someday.
yeah, well, it'll end one day. That world will. I don't think you unruin the world, but I do think you at least get some payback for it. I don't know. I don't know how that game ends. Don't tell me. But as CJ follows up, this is not your first international move. What do you think the biggest change is when moving to a new country for you personally?
Yeah, I moved to Japan in a really different time in my life. I had just gotten out of college and I was not in the games industry yet at the time. And this was pre-smartphone and the internet, the social internet was really, really different. And when I got to Japan, one of the first things I did was call my parents on a literal calling card.
Ha, I remember those.
Yeah. And the ways that you got news was just way different. I would find out. I wasn't able to watch sports for multiple years because
Really?
I was living in Japan and streaming didn't exist.
Yeah,
And there
that
wasn't
makes
really a way to watch at all. So a lot of that stuff will be different. It's a big mentality change, I think, for me to be living in another country as an expat where you know, people have been living there all their lives and know it very well. And I'm just showing up and going, hello. And you start to notice a lot of, you start to miss certain things from the US where you go, I just want a big box of Kraft macaroni and cheese, but I can't find it except in this one international store. I knew where all the international stores were in Japan where I could get root beer because I just really, really, really wanted root beer.
They don't
And
like
root beer was
either.
this crazy holy grail for me. Or
Root beer was hard to find, huh? Like they didn't just have
Root
root
beer
beer was hard to
beer.
find
Yeah.
in Japan. Yeah.
Apparently, they hate the taste because it reminds them of medicine.
Apparently salsa is hard to find over there.
Oh, that I could see. But like salsa's
Yeah.
okay, I say this, but I live in Texas. But I was gonna say salsa's
Yeah.
not hard to make because it's just
Salsa.
yeah, you just make, some cilantro, some onions, some tomatoes, you're like already halfway there. Like it's fine. But I guess if you live in a country where not at least one of those might not be readily available or easy to get a hold of. Yeah.
Or at least you don't get the really good kind.
What is cool is when you've been there for a while and it starts to all feel very normal.
Yeah.
And you just have to stop and go, I live in Japan and that feels totally normal. And Yeah, I'm gonna get to England, and my horrible, horrible soccer team, West Ham United, plays a home match on October 20th, Monday night, and I think that's the day. Actually, I start my. I would like to try and go. Is my point. And I think that I'll feel like I'm like really arrived when I go to an actual match and go, here I am. I am actually at a soccer match,
I watched them
enjoying my
lose real
terrible
time.
football team, watching them get relegated in real time.
I'm gonna do that with the Twins up there, as I'm led to understand the Twins
Oh,
are
the
not very
Twins.
good this year.
They're really bad.
Yeah, but it was kind of fun because I've always liked watching baseball and just having baseball on, and it just felt very core and intrinsic to me in a way that I couldn't really vocalize. And then the other night I was over at my parents' place and we were going through old scrapbooks, and in every single picture I'm wearing like a Twins hat or a Minnesota Twins hat, and it's,
Ooh, Minnesota.
I was like, oh, okay, so it was like indoctrinated into me from a young age. Okay, cool. But I'm actually a little excited that the Twins suck, because that means the ticket price might be lower and it'll be easier to get in. I can just go have a good
The
baseball
worst
game.
The worst attendance in Target Field history too. So
Oh, hey.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That
There you
means I
go.
get to. I hate when I go to a base. So I went to Defendway earlier
dude,
this year.
you're in
It was
Minnesota
packed.
now. Go to a hockey game.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
gonna go
welcome
to a
hockey.
wild. I'll go to a Wild game. That's on the like.
Go to a Gophers game.
I get to
Go
live in
Gophers
a
hockey.
sports town, okay? Because Texas,
Yeah.
despite what you may think at home, all right, let's clear up some misconceptions. Texas is a large place. Austin is kind of a sports city, but not really a sports city, because we have the Austin FC, we have the Circuit of the Americas, which is the F1 track here, and we have college like sports, so everything based around the University of Texas. That's kind of it. I think there's also a not major league hockey team or something kind of near here. I think they're like a secondary league team, I believe. But that's about it. We don't have a football team. We don't have a baseball team. We don't have any of the major sports. We don't have a basketball team. We just got that. So going to a town where I'm going to have sports teams in every respective category, I cannot wait for that.
I did not know that Austin had so few, like, I would think at least he had a football team.
No, the only
Really?
Texas football teams are the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans.
Guess that's all they need.
And Houston's about three. They're both about, every major city in Texas is about 3 hours away from another major city in Texas. That's the
That's about
rule of
right,
thumb.
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, not to dwell on sports for too much longer, but you really need to go to a Minnesota United game, because that stadium, Allianz Arena, it's connected to public transit, and it is one of the best MLS stadiums, in my opinion. It is.
Oh, I love
Great
live
crowd,
soccer. Yeah, yeah.
amazing food, beautiful. It's a really nice place. So make sure you get to a match there.
I was
All right,
already
that's
looking
it.
up tickets for, I think it's the women's soccer team, but I think their season is over at this point. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go every sporting event I can go to. Absolutely.
So much sports.
I love live
There's
sports.
so much
Yeah.
sports in the Twin Cities. It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
Eric Van Allen and too many sports.
That's actually one of the biggest. You notice culture changes. Moving to California, they're not as big into sports around here as they are in Minnesota. Minnesota, it's almost a matter of life and death. It feels like at times, and
Toronto too. Yeah, Toronto.
it feels like everybody is into sports and everybody talks about it. My whole family is big into sports, and here you have Niners fans, you have old school Giants fans who really care about it, but it's just a different vibe. And so you pick up things. The differences can show up in sports fandom, especially when you go to a new town. So when I want to get the pulse on a place that I live, how do they support their sports?
Yes.
Is
yeah.
really high on the list for me.
I do have a point
You gotta
of
come to
clarification.
Toronto, Cat.
I forgot to mention the most
I would love
important
to.
part. The most important part of Texas sports culture, high school football is church down here,
Right.
And that
Right.
is
That's just way different. Yeah.
But that's also a different thing, because like I not to dox myself too heavily, but like I am living near where I grew up, right? And going to see a high school football game at the place where you used to go to high school football games when you were in high school, that's too like I'm you know, I've seen it before. I've been there. I've been through seasons there. I don't need to keep going back. I feel like having some distance is about
Right.
what is what it's
It,
about.
it
So
actually, Eric, the other day, I kind of wandered into my high school yard, and I
huh?
saw that they put up like
Expand
a
on that.
couple of bleachers.
You just wandered into the high school yard.
My high school was very close to a subway station, and it was actually very close to my doctor's as well. So I took a walk to the subway station after I saw my
Oh,
doctor.
okay. Yeah,
And
the
there
way you
was
said I
I
wandered into it, I was like, you're just out and about on like just walking
yeah.
around. You just wound up there.
And my high school, here's my high school quote unquote sports field. There's a dirt
Okay.
track, gravel. There's two football poles, quote unquote, and there's like a couple of bleachers that you can sit on. And when I was there, like the bleachers were a new addition. I'm like, wow, we're really moving up in the sports world here. And when I was there, they were using the football field to play soccer.
Yeah,
That's the high
yeah.
school football scene in Toronto.
We don't need to make this the football episode because this is the cat episode, but yeah,
You're right. But cat episode and
y'all
football
have seen the
episode.
Texas
This
stadiums.
is the cat episode.
They're megaliths.
Sports.
Yeah.
I've
Speaking.
said on this podcast many times, I like sports and RPGs in the same way. They're party-based games with a heavy focus on stats and narrative. And it's just one has fantasy characters and one has incredibly athletic men and women who are extremely, extremely good at that particular game and are joyful to watch. And I love watching the narratives develop from the systems in both. That's all.
On that note, then, Pomegranate fan would like to know, Cab, what stories from RPGs have stuck with you the most? You often talk about systems, but what stood out for
Yeah.
you narratively? Anything recent?
Yeah, cat.
Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, I do focus on narratives because I think a lot of really great, or on systems, because I think a lot of great stories do come out of systems. I think that's what makes the interaction is what makes video games special compared to other mediums. Having said that, maybe Blood God fans who were there for me at the end of this week in GeckoCon will remember me getting very teary at the end of Persona 3 Reload. That was a good game. That had a good story.
I
Many
do
are
want to play
saying-
that.
There are times where it verged into cliches and tropes, which is what a lot of video games end up doing, unfortunately. I don't like Junpei. I thought Junpei's story was kind of like cringe. But I think the core emotional story of a group of kids facing down the end of the world, knowing the end of the world is coming, and nobody else really knowing, and deciding what they're going to do about it, really, that's compelling stuff. And when I can find that emotional hook in a game, that's when I really get into it. I also loved the emotional arc of Aigis. Her development throughout the game as kind of a one-note joke into really kind of a beautiful character is definitely Persona. I would say Persona 3, 4, 5 at its most poetic. And I really enjoyed that. So
That's nice.
there have definitely been games. There have definitely been RPGs where I've been in it for the story. I think Witcher 3 is another one that still stands out to me. I thought that was a great game. And the expansion packs all had really strong self-contained stories of their own as well. And Cyberpunk was Cyberpunk's story wasn't as good, but it was still pretty solid.
It had Keanu
I'm just I'm looking for I'm looking for well told, like maybe adult stories, and I think you can find those in indie spaces, and it's harder to find in AAA, where just especially more recently, it's developers are going for the stuff that's as lowest common denominator as they can get because they don't want to offend anybody and they want it to be accessible. I'm excited to play Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Yotei is a revenge story about killing samurai, and I'm not going to take the story too seriously. And that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of video games, actually.
That might be one of my hotter personal takes, is that I think when people try to say mature story, a lot of times that really just ends up meaning you kill people, you're gonna feel bad about it, and like
you're a killer.
I don't. It's messed up because we'll talk about this later in the episode. But like, I just finished playing a little game. You might have heard of it, called Final Fantasy Tactics.
Hell yeah.
That proves that years ago we knew how to tell like more complex, quote unquote, mature stories that really dealt with not just, okay, people get suddenly killed, there are twists, there are dark things that happen to people throughout that entire story. There's also a lot of philosophical concerns. There's a lot of people trying to wrestle with who they are and their place in the world. There's a lot of like people trying to understand what their existence means in the system that either uplifts them or oppresses them, right? And I find that so compelling, and it's wild to play that game now because you run into so many other games where they're like, it's a mature story, and that just means that like we're gonna kill some people, and it's
World
probably
premiere.
It's gonna get dragged.
World premiere.
Yeah.
We're gonna kill someone on stage.
Like,
Yay! The game wars finally rule.
I don't know. Like, I'm happy that Wolverine is gonna slash people with his blades, and there's gonna
that
be
looks so
blood
boring.
everywhere.
Slash.
Like that looks great. I'm like, that should honestly be played up as cartoony and funny, like campy almost. And instead they're like, yeah, it's the mature Wolverine. This isn't your kid's Wolverine. And I'm like, it kind of is, man. I don't know anyone who's more like
anymore.
pumped up for this than like a 14-year-old boy, man. He's seeing this, and this is like an.
So I think a lot of games are going to be geared toward 14-year-old boys again, because we're kind of moving backward in that regard. I think that I was looking at a collage of popular video game characters, and when I look at them I go, well, these are just all superheroes.
Yep.
Kratos and Lara Croft and even Mario, and I like a good superhero story. I like a good genre story, but I want more too.
I can't get over thinking
I want
Mario
variety.
as a superhero. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's a superhero. He's got magic powers. I don't know.
We gotta stop this Doctor Doom.
Mamma mia. Magneto.
I remember journalists falling all over themselves to praise Heavy Rain.
Oh my god, that was such a funny game.
Yeah, people still praise Heavy Rain. And
it was like, really bad in hindsight, but it stood out because it was a detective drama, and it showed slice of life, gamified slice of life moments, and people were like, "Wow, that's so interesting and cool."
Microwave a meal for your kid and your divorcee dad. I remember a comedian making fun of that, saying like, "I'm playing a video game, and I'm microwaving a meal for my kid, and I'm a divorcee, and I fuck up the microwave meal, and it's like, what am I playing?"
I'm asking myself, can there be a video game equivalent of The Office?
Oh.
That'd be fun.
Like, can there be a situational comedy?
I mean, people are trying it. There's that game coming out, Dispatch, that's like a superhero workplace comedy type thing.
It's a superheroes.
Yeah, it's the
so many video games boil down to slashing things with a sword.
The thing I find interesting when you bring up Heavy Rain, I was talking with a friend about this recently. because this is not a commentary on quality, to be clear. We're going to start this with that, and so I can refer back to it later. It's not a commentary on quality, but we were talking about Clair Obscur, and they were saying, man, some people are just really, they're like, Clair Obscur is the greatest RPG ever made, and usually it's either the first RPG that this person has played or it's the one that convinced them that RPGs were good, right? And I find that every so often a game comes out within a genre that is the one that breaks containment and becomes the one that either an entire generation latches
Breaks
onto.
containment.
It's like it's their gateway into the genre, or it just becomes the one that finally got them. But then it becomes the reference point. I was saying Persona 5 was honestly this, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, where
Yeah.
a lot of people suddenly were like, oh, I like RPGs, but they contextualize it through, oh, I don't like RPGs, but I love Persona. I wish more RPGs were like Persona and stuff like that. I think Heavy Rain is really, they like adventure games. They like that style of game, but Heavy Rain was the one that got them into it, and they're like, oh, Heavy Rain is so good. It's like, oh, you can eat in Clair Obscur, you're eating well. In Persona 5, you're eating well. In Heavy Rain, you could eat so much better. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's better food out there, I promise you.
Expedition 33 is another game that has an excellent story. And I think, and Baldur's Gate 3, and I think
Oh,
those are two
Baldur's Gate
games
3.
that are buoyed up by, one of the things I really love about RPGs is they have a lot of room for smaller stories that are often told through side quests. And a lot of my favorite stories are often told through smaller interactions and smaller moments. That's why I think RPGs are kind of special because they're so big, they have room for little moments that aren't always possible in other video games. I think that's
Sure,
pretty
yeah.
cool. The
You were
quiet
a-
moments. That's what to drag Starfield did the quiet moments really badly. And that really bummed me out,
Uh,
unfortunately. The
you were
moments around the campfire.
you were a Disco Elysium fan, right?
I love Disco Elysium, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one
I
too.
wasn't sure if that was a story that resonated with you or not. It hit a lot for me, but I
I mean, that was a game that at least tackled subjects that you just don't see in video games
God, yeah.
very much. Like, I don't know, the nature of labor and capital. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I mean, even on a more base level, I mean, this kind of calls back to a game like Planescape Torment. But hey,
Yeah.
what if your character just isn't good, and not in like the oh, I'm an anti-hero, but I'm just misunderstood, which I think a lot of games try to do. They try to be like, I'm gonna make an unlikable character, but
They're
really,
not hyper competent. They're just really bad at life.
yeah, this dude sucks, man. Like, there's a reason that the things that have happened have transpired, and he is the way he is, and it's mostly his own fault. And like, you have to play a character who has to reckon with that and be like, how do I not be a piece of shit? Do I want to not be a piece of shit? Is it better for me to not be or to just be a piece of shit? So, I really like that game for that. I think it is a bold step that not a lot of games often want to go for. But yeah, let's move this along. Kat, do you have a favorite episode or pantheon? Asks Hades Fish, or any that you consider particularly memorable?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I loved the Bloodborne Pantheon
That was a good one.
because
That was a good one.
it was personally very significant for me. It was the first time I beat Bloodborne. That was a big deal. And I was really excited because I didn't know if I had it in me to get through this game without help. Because I had reviewed Dark Souls once upon a time and it broke me reviewing that game. But there was something inside me that just really wanted to get through Bloodborne and see what was special about it. And my friends, Bloodborne's a special game. You want to talk about environmental storytelling, the
Oh, it's
horror
so
of
perfect
it,
at that.
the combat, how outstanding the boss battles are. I've referred to it more than once as like this little perfect Michelin star meal of a video game. And I thought it was really cool how the community came together and rallied around this game. I had so much fun discovering Bloodborne with it. And I was able to finish it just under the wire, which was
Nice.
really cool. Yeah, so that was a big one, I think. Favorite episodes. I've always really enjoyed. Nani and I have referred to the closet episode more than once.
Yes. that was a
That's a good
very
one.
that was a very resourceful episode, and I remember it because of the Trails of Cold Steel collection that we recorded on. Actually, I was just playing Trails the first, so that was my first introduction to Trails because it gave me the game collection afterwards. And yeah, now I'm a fan of the series. So well played, Falcom somehow.
Do y'all have a favorite episode or pantheon?
Oh,
I really like the draft that we did when we all had to make our
yeah,
own like RPG and things like that. I think that was really fun. I end up liking a lot of, I think for me the charity stream stuff sticks out. I don't know if
Yeah.
that counts as an episode, but all the stuff we do on the charity stream usually kind of sticks for me pretty heavily. I also like the class conscious episodes. I think those get pretty
those are
fun.
good.
Um
Um,
Pantheons. I would have to
I
think about Pantheon, so I'm gonna bounce to Nadia for
yeah,
a second.
Pantheon. I
Yeah.
think that. I remember. I guess it's a little different, but some of my favorite moments are watching Eric play through the games that I know really well, like Final Fantasy VI. Like if you look through our archive on YouTube and or Twitch, you'll find some really fantastic moments, like Eric stealing the lunch in Chrono Trigger and getting then he goes on trial,
Who's
and he's
that
like,
guy?
"Witnesses? What witnesses?" And witnesses just pour in, and then they caught him in 4K. Like, I didn't do that, and then you see the evidence of him clearly doing it. It's like, listen, you shouldn't have made your lunch interactable.
I think one of the cooler so there were a few things that seemed just incredible in those playthroughs. I would add those onto some of my favorite stuff that I've personally done for Blood God, but it's Final Fantasy VI had so many weird things happen because that game has so many wild systems that you don't really like fully appreciate until they're playing out in front of you. So
Uh,
at one point I was casting a smoke bomb to leave a battle and the enemy like confused me, and so they threw a
uh,
smoke bomb on the enemy and disappeared them from battle, which counted as winning, which was
I
crazy.
didn't know I
That
could do that.
that was a wild one. There was the one where I said, they better not make me fight another behemoth after this.
And you got the
Immediately
super
another
behemoth.
behemoth showed up. And then I think we were doing the World of Ruin and I was in a really bad spot and all of a sudden one of my characters they all have super attacks that you have a percentage chance to
Yes.
trigger if you just basic
It's like,
attack. And I think it was with Terra or somebody that I never basic attack with, but I was out of MP, like I was on my last leg and I was like, whatever, Hail Mary, just swing for the fences. And it triggered and fired off and it was so beautiful. It was incredible. So yeah, that's I think yeah, playing through old games, I guess to pivot this into the Pantheon, playing through old games and reappreciating them in new light, either for the first time or if I've already played them before, has been really fun. I think the Drakengard Pantheon was a really interesting one because we had to really grapple with, the question of what is
the
a
game.
Pantheon game and can a bad game be good, right? Can a difficult, tough, like honestly repulsive in some ways game be something that is important and interesting and fascinating in light of history and everything that came after it. I mean, it's the reason that Nier exists is Drakengard 1. So I think that was a really interesting one. Final Fantasy X, just us gushing about 10 was a really good time. We still need
That
to
was a
do
fun
the
one.
10-2 Pantheon. That has to happen at some point. We have to let's go girls. But the Cyberpunk Pantheon was also pretty fun. I think that's of the more recent ones. I think doing the Cyberpunk one and getting to talk about that game, but also just getting to experience it as a community. I think in terms of enjoyment, I love it when the community all gets really into the Pantheon game, and everybody got really into Cyberpunk during that time, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, that was a great pantheon. I also really enjoyed the book club and the free run watch that we did this
Book
I
year.
Club
love
was
the free
fun.
run
Free Run
watch.
Watch was good.
We finally figured out how to do a side quest style kind of watch that didn't feel as intrusive As much as I loved doing Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra, and I am grateful that we did it. It also, at a certain point, people were going, okay, but I don't want to listen to a whole segment on this at some point. So it was a learning process.
Much like Nickelodeon, by the time we got to Korra, they were like, all right, wrap it up.
Nice.
Even though I like Korra quite a bit. But yeah, no, that stuff is always really fun. I think we still owe a Secret of Nim watch if I'm correct.
We do,
that's gonna happen once we're moved and all that. But I don't think the book clubs or the watch clubs are going anywhere under our watch because all of us enjoy them. I think y'all at home really enjoy them too. So
yeah.
Cats, do you have an episode concept? Asks Lance Hart. That you would have liked to see turn into a regular feature like Pantheons or console RPG quests, but for whatever reason never did. Basically, is there anything, like any content we never really saw brought to fruition that you would have liked to have seen become either a regular feature or just something that we do? We
did a history of Falcom and promised more, and we only did part 1.
we did do that.
Shit, I forgot about that. Oh no, I'm sorry, Falcom.
Hey, look, we
listen.
We haven't not.
We started in the 80s because so we had this episode series that I think was called Game Dev Quest.
Yes, yeah.
And we had profiled a couple studios. We had done From Software, and we had wrapped up the various quests. We had done the PC RPG quest, which I thought underrated series actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go back and listen to that sometime because we did the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. It was pretty cool actually. It was
fun. I learned a lot.
Yeah, we breaking it down by decade, and we were doing the Japanese side of things and the Western side of things. And I was like, okay, well, we did that. What can we do next? And I was like, well, what if we did this by game developers? And only a few different RPG developers could really support a multi-part series. And Falcom was one of them. And we did one episode, and then we just never got around to continuing it. So my deepest apologies. Maybe Eric... Victor is someone who is A, passionate for this kind of thing, and B, is a research maestro. So maybe this is a baton that he can pick up and run off with. And the next thing you know, we're going to get a whole quest for the developers of Sakura Tyson, for example.
I could see the Dev Quest making a return at some point in the future.
Yeah.
I think what happened was we liked the idea, but I mean, we talked about this back when we made the change originally, is that doing a special every month was just becoming a lot, especially on top of the other things we were already starting to do. And I mean, that's been something that we here at Blood God have been trying to be much more conscious of, is what works for us that people listen to, that people want, and also doesn't feel like we're like there's an even trade-off of what you're buying into on the Pantheon or on the Patreon versus like what is being received in kind. And so I think
we felt like we were flooding the zone a little bit in terms of podcasts. People were going, "Oh, I can't even keep up with the weekly episode, much less another weekly episode."
And buddy, if you think you have trouble keeping up with the amount of podcasts we were making at the time, we were having trouble keeping up with the number of podcasts we were making at the time. Like it was, it definitely hit a point of diminishing returns where, as Kat said, flooding the zone. Like we were putting too much stuff out, and I think moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised to see DevQuest pop up again in side quests, or maybe something if we feel like we want to just add it and just have it be a value add that's not tied.
It could be a regular episode too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's about being more frugal and smart with how we use our stuff. But yeah, I mean, we now have an ever rotating list of evergreen topics that we go back to for regular episodes that I could see that rolling in there.
Yeah. There can be plenty of episodes where you can put a quest as the main topic and then just do a tavern after, or even not do a tavern if it's particularly quiet. So I think there's a lot of room within the format. We spent a lot of time tweaking the format over the years. The Blood God went through multiple format changes in the last 5 years in the Patreon era.
avert your eyes.
I'm happy with the current format. I think it's pretty good, actually.
I think it works
I like
well
the
for
way that
everyone.
the tavern is. I also apologize for all of the spoiler episodes I promised I would do and never did.
Yeah, we still we
Join the
gotta back up.
club. Join the club.
But that's not to say that they will never happen,
Yeah.
because I do not plan to stop podcasting forever. I just don't plan to be getting up at 7 in the morning every Saturday anymore to do notes, because that's what I would do. It's been a routine for me for many years now. To On Saturday morning, I'm up at 6:30 in the morning. I turn on some soccer. I make coffee. I get the notes together while I'm watching soccer, and then we're on the actual podcast. And I didn't. It's been very rare that I've been able to sleep in. So I'm looking forward to being able to sleep in on the weekends again.
That's wild to me.
But you'll be like the time zone will be 5 hours ahead
Yeah,
of
Right,
EST,
right.
so you'll be awake.
it'll be the evening.
It'll be the evening.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then it'll be late night. You'll be dragging me out of bed at 2 in the morning to do podcasts. It's like, Kat, we need to do a Pantheon episode, but we can't record till 5 p.m. Can you, Pacific, can you be on the show? Well, I guess I'll get up at 2 in the morning.
Well, the nice part is I think
Do it for the
because
Blood God.
you're Pacific, but I don't think any of the rest of us will be Pacific time, which is one of the harder ones to do. I think
Victor will be.
Oh, Victor will be. You're right. You're right. Well, for the most part, otherwise, like it's a time difference, but it's not a brutal time difference.
Yeah.
But we'll find a lot of ways. We're running low on time now, so let's bring it down to one last question here from Robo Riley. Kat, what's the thing about this podcast journey that has surprised you the most?
I didn't expect it to get to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an extracurricular project that I was doing at US Gamer,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing it every week, and it was part of my brand, but it didn't always feel like it was necessarily going anywhere. And the only feedback we ever got was from the maybe 2 or 3 comments we would get from listeners, like "Satellite of Love," some of
Oh.
whom are still with us today.
Thank you.
And so it was mostly Nadia and I hanging out on Fridays, vibing, and then I would edit the show. But there was a point where it just started to become better and do better, and I was proud of it. And then it really took off with the Patreon, and I remember when we were getting ready to launch the Patreon going, well, what if we launch a Patreon and nobody cares? What if like just nobody shows up? And actually a lot of people showed up, and
Okay.
I was really flattered. And having the Discord as a place to vibe in and a community to really gather together really took the podcast to another level. So that's the thing, is that I never expected to have not just a podcast that can continue after I left, but having like a whole group of cool people that I've been working together with for several years, and amazing fans. And obviously big shout outs to Eric and Nadia and Victor and Alexi and our mod team, Teeps, Brian C. Nerd, Robo Riley, Criminal Justice. Y'all killing it. And it's bigger than me. So I think that's the part that's surprised me the most. And it's given me a lot of really amazing memories over the past 10 years. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a radio host.
Really? Well, here you are.
I did. Because I would listen to sports radio, and they would sit around and share opinions, and I had opinions too that I wanted to share. And I was like, what a great job just sitting around and sharing opinions. And I think that if I could have a full-time job just being a podcaster every day, I think I'd be really happy, actually, because I I really enjoy talking about the news and talking about, especially around the games industry.
Mhm.
But it hasn't always seemed possible for me specifically. But I'm really glad that I was able to make a show that people cared about, so that I could put my strong takes on Final Fantasy VII Remake into the world.
I'm glad too.
Peop
I had no idea I was any good at this until you said, "Hey, Nadia, you're hired." And I said, "What? Okay."
it turns out you are good at this,
Yeah,
actually.
that's a surprise.
I hope you don't mind me hijacking slightly. One of the questions that we didn't really get to, but I'm going to get to now, is somebody asking, what is the article that you would want people to read?
Mhm.
And my final article on US Gamer was called Press Start to Continue, and it was mostly kind of looking back and thanking people, but it also was me reflecting on what I wanted game journalism to be, and specifically what I wanted to contribute to games journalism in the games industry. And for me, that was appreciation and knowledge and respect for the developers, but also for the games. I wanted the industry and for journalists to have some self-respect.
Right.
And that was a thing that I tried to put into US Gamer. And then when I got to IGN, that was a big deal for me as well. As how do we covering the news in a way that wasn't exploitive but respectful, that was knowledgeable, that respected the craft. Gosh darn it.
Gosh darn it.
And I tried to bring that to the podcast too. And yes, I did have a lot of hot takes at times, because that's what happens when you talk for video games about 2 hours. And sometimes you get cranky.
But it's also a degree of honesty. And I think thinking to the US Gamer days when we were all publishing those blogs, I remember, I think at the very end, I think it was just you, me, and Matthew Olson at the end, right?
Yeah. I was the first to go, or one of the first.
Yeah. And I remember we were all just kind of posting those last blogs and putting them out there. And it was a degree of, well, what do you want to leave on the table? And I think I wrote something about just how this is what media has become, and you either soldier on with it or you find a different path. But I compared it to Ryu and his Street Fighter 2 ending, where he doesn't really care about winning the tournament or not. He's just looking for the next fight, and that's kind of the thing that we've all gotten engaged with. But I think that's maybe a more nihilistic view of it. But you always inspired in me a desire to want to make coverage that we could be proud of, but make coverage that was honest, was truthful, was knowledgeable, was founded in something important and trying to say something important, but also like speaks your mind a little bit. Like, people don't show up to hear like doled takes from us. They don't show up to watch us play characters, even though, you know, it's a podcast. We play up our personalities a little bit by nature whenever the camera's on. But we're here to speak our minds about the things that we find important and back that up with knowledge and passion. And I think you have always been a driver in that cat. I mean, legitimately, I would say that you've been a mentor to me for years, and you've driven my professional direction for a very long time, and I'm grateful to have had that. So I think it's been really incredible to have you at the helm, and you've been a guide light in that sense.
That's true.
Thank you. Video game journalism's changed a lot since I started. I don't want to be all like, I'm old, but I started when magazines were still a thing, and it was still very access driven.
Hey,
and
magazines are still a thing. Subscribe to Game Informer.
Subscribe to Game Informer.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of there was a diary. Everything was on diary. And I think it was, back then it was a lot easier. The industry was just smaller, so it was easier to be friends with people, you know, major developers, directors and producers, and people, studio heads. I remember Scooter, Thierry Nguyen, was on email basis with the doctors at BioWare. He would just go.
Yeah.
He would just fire them an email. Dean Takahashi, he was best friends with people like Mike Morheim because he had been covering Blizzard since the 90s. And a lot of those people had been there literally at the dawn of the modern video game industry as we know it. So I came in on the heels of those folks, and I got to hang out with the doctors, and they were pretty cool. But then over time, things began to change. The influencers came in. The way that we covered video games began to change. In some ways for the better, because this access on diary culture was also driven a lot by guys having drinks with their buds.
Yeah.
And so it became more open. And I think my favorite time to be in the games industry was probably in the mid 2010s, 2017. It felt the most vital. It felt the most vital, that particular era, because we had Waypoint, we had Kotaku was kind of still at its peak. We had Game Informer was still like really going strong, like in that particular era.
It's still going strong today.
Still going strong today. I had the MinMax folks at the time. Yeah, so it felt like there was a lot of different. Polygon was excellent, and there were a lot of fantastic writers. A lot of them just coming up for the first time. You were coming up. You and your cohort were coming up, and Eurogamer was still really, really, really good at that time.
AV Club was thriving.
Yeah,
I loved AV Club.
Yeah,
read the Adventure
There's a lot
Time
more money was coming into the games media instead of leaving it.
Instead of starting it.
Yeah, Valnet.
That was fun.
Weren't dicing apart the video game media industry and eating it piece by piece.
It wasn't
and also
like sold to rich, spoiled people.
There were games coming out that were worth covering. The Switch came out, and Breath of the Wild, Persona 5. It was a cool time. It was a cool time to be in the games media. And if anything, I wish I had recognized the moment for what it was in 2017. I was just trying to figure out how to make the website work because I just got handed this thing and told to go. But now we're in an era where the media ecosystem has failed.
Absolutely.
And the traditional path of selling programmatic ads isn't really the way anymore. And you have to go directly to your audience, and Game Informer's doing that with subscriptions.
Yep.
Websites like 404 Media, the kind of the thriving newsletter culture, that is the way, I think. And podcasts are part of that. And I think the best way that you can support good games media is to support your favorite podcast, Axe of the Blood God, an independent RPG podcast at patreon.com/bloodgodpod. No, this is very much the independent media era because corporate media is utterly compromised, folks. It's
I'm taking a big shit. It's not just pretty out there.
It's
yes,
in a
there
place,
are people.
I was just gonna say it's in a place where you have many of the pillars have either decayed or fallen at this point, right? Like a lot of speaking from personal experience, I will try to stay within some lines here. I've seen staffs at previous sites that I worked at just slowly eroded down for an army of freelancers that are paid low rates to just infuse content that I don't think anybody reads. I honestly think at this point, if you're writing some of that SEO bait guide content, it's not even being read anymore. You might as well just hand it to Google and say, please train your AI on this, and cut out the middleman. But that's the thing, and I think that's why I found GI so reinvigorating, is that we're out there just trying to do coverage like nothing changed in the last 10 years, and we're doing a lot of stuff that is very modern. I mean, you'll see us on TikTok and things like that, but in a lot of ways, we're doing cover stories, we're doing features, we're doing previews and reviews, and we're doing a magazine. And I do think people liked that stuff, and I think people do still like that stuff. And that's kind of the weird thing, is it feels like we've gone full circle. The problem is that the capital didn't go around with it, so a lot of stuff either got kind of sold off or bought by other people, or just kind of fell into the ground. And the systems are not really there to start lifting that back up again. So I do think, like you're saying, for a lot of people, for a lot of outlets, the few that don't get on the life rafts, it's going to be independence. And that's really difficult, because now you have a lot of independent outlets. There are too many to name. There's so many out there, and new ones pop up every day that want a subscription. And I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing, so I read a book called Traffic, maybe a year or two ago, and it was about the rise of Gawker and BuzzFeed and the 2000s and 2010s era of new media.
You won't believe.
And my takeaway from that was that BuzzFeed gamified journalism, because it was all about just how can we get the maximum number of clicks. And everybody followed in BuzzFeed's wake.
Yeah.
But what BuzzFeed did not expect was that the value of the click over time would be devalued.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would get more and more clicks, and those clicks would be worth less and less. And what we're now at is the dregs, where many of these websites that rely on clicks have a handful of people who work really, 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 really hard and are just being worked to the absolute bone and doing the best they can and are expected to do everything. And you can't do good work in those circumstances.
No, absolutely not.
You just cannot. And what a lot of these other sites like Defector, they're going back to the basics of, here's an idea. Let's not gamify clicks. Let's actually do journalism here. Mm-hmm. Let's write about the things that we feel like are worth writing about, and not just at the top of search engine rankings. And they've built their own audiences as a result and have thrived, and are not about trying to make be worth an IPO that's worth $1 billion or something, because that's never going to happen.
I do think I always have to say this whenever I have this conversation. I have to voice caution around the Defector model, because the Defector model was partially successful because, and I'm a former colleague of many of these people, and I'm just being honest. They were a bunch of very popular writers for a sports site, which I'm going to say is going to have a higher floor and ceiling than a video game site is going to have, because one hobby is more popular than the other. And it was a very well-read site that had a very public falling out that was covered by other media and became a topic of discussion across the nation. That doesn't happen for, like, Polygon getting bought by Valnet and everybody getting hollowed out. That was not a nationwide thing that everybody knows about, but Deadspin and Defector was. And so I think that is part of the challenge, is that video games are just kind of, they're not niche, but they're not sports, they're not movies, they're not that level of like permeation that leads to a broader potential pool of people to pull in and pay attention to that kind of stuff. But I think the other factor is that I do think you're very, very right when it comes to publishing stuff that people want to read, man. I
nourishing stuff.
Yes, like putting a little bit of voice in it, and trying to let it breathe and be individual and have a degree of this is written by a person, and they want you to read it, and not just we're trying to write this for a robot so it'll catch a search engine and serve it to you when you go looking for this information.
Make sure you tick all the boxes on the SEO thing.
I'm so glad I don't have to
gotta get the keywords in there
anymore. It rules. That SEO stuff.
It really has a way of
my brain.
It has a way of flattening the way that you write.
Yes. It does. It really does.
Making everything sound the same, and then your eyes just glaze past it. It's kind of a bummer.
I've done some writing outside of video games, and they kind of have you feed your writing into algorithms now so that they come out like, I don't want to say stupid, but stupid. I don't think my writing is very complicated. I aspire to write simply.
You
I
just have a great
believe.
voice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I try to make my writing accessible. I think I was very offended of the idea that, no, you got to make it stupider. It's just, no, people read my stuff, and they can read my stuff because they're human beings with a functioning brain. I'm not War and Peace, people.
Also, I don't know, like I've often bristled at the idea that you need to dumb down your writing, which has come
Absolutely.
up a few times, and the idea that like audiences need to be written at a certain level of reading level, and I'm like, I don't know. I first of all, I think certain words that get put under that are not difficult to understand words, but also
Yeah.
if I see a word I don't understand, it turns out these pocket computers we all have a function that lets you look up what that word means, and you might gain tertiary knowledge from all this in the process. You know, you might learn a new word while you're reading about this game that you're excited about. So
these days, you can highlight a word. It tells you right then and there what it means. When I was a kid, the best you could do was maybe ClarisWorks had actually, no, you usually didn't have a spell check. You should have seen the first story I ever wrote on a computer. Jesus, what a mess.
I know this is my old man shakes fist at cloud thing, but I'm like, I don't know, use a damn dictionary, man. Like if we're gonna let the search engines and the robots take over, at least like use them to better yourself in the process.
When I was a kid, the fun thing to do was to get different dictionaries and look up the ones that had swear words versus the ones that didn't. Holy shit, I found fuck! And that would make your day. That's what we did in the 90s, everyone, before the internet.
Oh, it's an early speed pit. We rammed over it at full force.
Ooh. So I suppose that's my parting shot on this particular topic. We've got a lot more podcasts to go.
Yeah, I guess so.
Thought this was going to be a short
remember when
one.
we thought this was going to be a normal
funny.
episode? Yeah.
Well,
No. I support good journalism. That's all. Go support Steven Totilo's newsletter. Go support Game Discover Co. Go find your favorite voices and your favorite writers and make sure that they are able to have a living. And they will do their best to provide really good journalism. And learn about the industry that you're following.
yes.
Learn about how games are made. Learn about, because it's not magic, but a lot of people kind of act like it is. So that's all.
In a way.
Support good games journalism.
And support us so we can keep feeding Poe.
Support Axe of the Blood God.
Oh,
Support
yeah.
Poe. Well, okay.
Am I taking
I
the
guess
reins?
I'm taking the wheel.
No, did you want me to fully? I thought I was host just for the AMA part.
Yeah. I can take the wheel back.
Yeah, you gotta drive while you still got the keys.
I gotta drive.
Yeah.
I gotta drive. Okay, so get out of here. Back into the passenger seat.
Back to Winnipeg.
I just wanted you to host this segment. All right. Thanks everybody for the really nice questions. It's time now for a series of random encounters. Nintendo of America has new leadership with Devin Pritchard and Satoru Shibata replacing Doug Bowser, who's retiring at the end of the year. Pritchard is the Executive Vice President of Revenue, Marketing, and Consumer Experience, while Shibata was previously President of Nintendo of Europe. There was a State of Play this week, which we'll be recapping in a moment. There's not a lot to recap, but we'll hit it briefly. In the meantime, Sony says the PS5 is its most successful generation so far with $136 billion in sales. EA is reportedly closing in on a $50 billion deal to go private, with investors including private equity firm Silver Lake and the Saudi Public Investment Fund.
Yay. I loved hearing that. That's great.
Woo!
What a great company.
Mass Effect 5. Woo!
Can you imagine?
How do we new Patreon goal for Blood God? We buy BioWare. How
do we just fund Mass Effect 5?
Yeah, we gotta get it out of there.
MagicCon is this weekend, and there was a slew of announcements with sets confirmed for The Hobbit and Star Trek, alongside a new slate of Final Fantasy cards. They have a special holiday box featuring Final Fantasy 1, 8, 9, and 15. and all the cards come together to form one big picture. It's actually really cute. So the 15 one is all the boys around the car, for example.
I bought
And
that one.
there's a fishing gear leaned against it. The fishing gear is a card, and there's Prompto taking a selfie with the chocobo. That's a card. It's adorable. There's
old
also
Prompto.
a special chocobo box that has rare foils of some of the Final Fantasy cards that have already been released, like Lulu and Vivi, and
The
well,
10 ones, the 10 ones look so
those will be
good.
so expensive.
They look crazy good. Like the Lulu, Waka, Riku, and 2 different Yunas, which I think one of the Yunas is a different. Someone in chat or someone later is gonna tell me whatever a WPN thing is, because whatever I got to do to get that Yuna card for that one, I'm gonna do it. I don't care what it is. I will do it. So
Holy shit, 2
we're-
Unas.
yeah. So we're gonna solve that, but. I am a little annoyed that the Choco bundle, or those cards only come in the Choco boosters, and there's only one Choco booster in each Choco bundle, and each Choco bundle is like $100.
Yeah,
Stop
it's
saying
ridiculous.
Choco.
Those choco bundles are going to be worth like $1,000 in relatively short order. I pre-ordered one.
Yeah, I pre-ordered one too. That's the problem. Is I'm part of the problem. So not to derail the random encounters, but I feel like for me personally, coming out of this MagicCon, number one, none of it was a surprise because basically all of those things leaked early. But
Yeah.
I really had a moment of I'm not necessarily annoyed by just UB or just the amount of stuff that's getting announced. It's that the MSRP of Magic seems to have just permanently gone up, and there continues to be new stuff that is constantly at a higher and higher price tag. And I already had heard jokes about how expensive Magic was to have as a hobby, but I think I am fairly qualified to say at this moment that it's more expensive now than it used to be.
It's
It really
stupid.
feels expensive.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
I more for less, unfortunately. And you know why they're doing it? Because they sell out
because it's selling
every
like crazy.
time.
Yeah. Like I
Because
said, I'm
Wizard
part
of the
problem.
Coast literally can't seem to price it high enough to get people to depress demand. So Spider-Man hasn't done that well. But it's not because there isn't demand. It's because Spider-Man, the set, was kind of goofy and weird, and people went, maybe this isn't the one. But when Avatar comes out,
They'll probably do pretty well. I still think Final Fantasy was the because what happened was I
peak.
believe Imran Khan said this on Blue Sky somewhere or something, but basically Final Fantasy was this perfect meeting point of a really powerful IP with a lot of attachment, and then the right people in the right place to design an incredible set around it. That's a really good Magic set. I cannot stress that enough.
it's a great Magic set.
I've played a lot of Magic in the time since and done like limited drafts and things like that of different old sets, and I think FF is still one of my favorite ones up there with Bloomburrow. It's a really
so much fun to
impressive
draft
set.
out of.
Yeah.
Bloomburrow was sick too. I really
Bloomburrow
like that
was
one.
sick.
Yeah. But what can I say? I'm going to be building a Star Trek deck. I'll be turning my In-Spirit deck into a Star Trek deck. Soon enough.
Are you gonna make the
gonna make
Enterprise
the
your
Enterprise.
commander? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm making a
I saw
Noctis
that
deck. We're all in our bullshit.
the Enterprise was everything I wanted it to be. And also they announced Squirrel Girl. And I'm like, let's go, Squirrel Girl. She's going to be my...
They announced
I'm making
Dwight
it there.
Schrute from The Office. I think that was the moment where I was like, okay, we've gone a
Was
little too
that?
far.
I thought that was a parody.
No, that's real. That's very real. I know several people who were in the audience for that panel who were posting pictures of it and things like that.
That's just a weird combination, I gotta say, as a non-Magic player. I understand.
Well,
like,
I mean, they
Final
did a
Fantasy is
Furby
great.
one too.
Also, hold on. This is actual beef. Dwight
Oh, and
Schrute, whatever.
PlayStation.
Yeah, no, the PlayStation one. I'm sorry, y'all could have done way better on that one. It's 4 Last of Us cards, which I get it. You know, if nothing else, remake The Last of Us.
I think the Ellie and Abby partners are really cool.
And then the Ellie and Joel stuff, I do think it's weird. There's 2 Ellie cards, but I get it. You know,
And
they
the
do that with
Jin
Planeswalkers and stuff.
Sakai card is pretty cool too.
But it's all stuff that they just sell right now. And I'm sorry, but like I would have loved to have seen some retro PlayStation stuff in there, or anything that was from a console generation that
Warhawk.
wasn't the current one. Like someone was posting in the MTG chat today saying Gravity Rush, and like, yeah, I know Gravity Rush ain't gonna sell like that, but it's Gravity Rush. That'd be just put it in the pack with the rest of them. Like add a little bonus in there. I don't know.
They're gonna go for the ones that are the most.
Ape
They
Escape.
could have had
An Ape
Astrobot.
Escape card would be so fun.
Who agrees?
Poe, don't
Nah.
you want an Ape Escape card? Yes, you do. Poe wants a
All
Zelda
right.
card
Nadia,
so he can have
Nadia
like, the
bailed
very-
on us.
Yeah, Nadia heard too
All
much
right.
magic going on and took off.
Ah!
This wasn't even like the time where you started looking at your phone while I was trying to explain something. This is like Nadia just straight up left the call.
RGG Studio has announced several new games, including Yakuza Kiwami 3 and a new spin-off called Dark Ties. Kiwami 1 and 2 are also coming to Switch 2 on November 13th. Also, there's a live-action Yakuza 3. We got a lot of RGG Studio stuff. Still continuing my quest to someday finish a Yakuza game.
Kiwami 3 is a weird one. That was my
So I've
feeling
heard.
on it.
That's a controversial one, right?
It's a controversial one, but I just feel like it was one that was already remastered for current systems, and so now they're doing a Kiwami version. So are they just going to Kiwami all the way up to 7? Is that what's going to happen? Like it felt kind of weird, especially when you would expect RGG to maybe start talking about the next Yakuza or next Like a Dragon, or start talking about, a Stranger Than Heaven, or they're working on Virtua Fighter too, right? Yeah,
Oh, I think you're right.
I think adding Kiwami on there, I was like, I'm sure there are people who are excited for it. I know there's new story content with Dark Ties, but Kiwami 3, I was like, I feel like the ship has sailed on people being excited about Kiwami. But I could be wrong. Prove me wrong.
Maybe. I mean, they have been very upfront about chasing their audience and making the games that their audiences would want. And they're pretty good at packaging and repackaging those remakes. I read a pretty good newsletter from Totillo recently, actually, that was talking about Resident Evil and why Resident Evil does so well in sales. And he was pointing out that Capcom is really good at discounts and repackaging the remakes for different markets. And I think Yakuza is the same way. So even if Kiwami 3 doesn't jump out in terms of sales, it'll probably have a long life, and it will contribute to this big ecosystem, this big world that's really fun. And maybe one day I'll really dive into it. The Xbox Ally X and Xbox Ally prices have been revealed. $1,000 for the Ally X and $599 for the Xbox Ally.
Sign me up.
Xboxes are
wait,
sold
right
out
there.
already.
Don't sign me up.
Really?
Yeah, that's because they were in limited quantities, I'm sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're always going to be sickos, but no, it's a little out of my price, my budget.
I'm happy
My
with my
Steam
Switch
Deck-
too.
My Steam Deck is still cooking, baby. That thing
Yeah,
is still
like-
running.
If I get extra money for a video game system, it's definitely going to Steam Deck and not a Microsoft thingy dingy.
This follows
Stole
the
is
recent Xbox price hike, which has resulted in Costco apparently no longer selling Xbox and calling it a business decision. Naoki Hamaguchi says Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is selling well and that fans shouldn't worry about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, calling it a proper, high-quality send-off. Well, thank gosh. And then Hamaguchi also weighed in on game key cards, saying, I really get where people are coming from in terms of their negativity towards it, and there are good reasons. However, discussion between developers on the topic is perhaps a bit different to what fans maybe expect, pointing out that normal cards are both slower and more limited in terms of size, and suggesting that game key cards make it easier to provide a high-quality experience on the Switch 2. Not for nothing, Final Fantasy VII Remake has been kind of described as one of the better ports
Right.
on that platform. So but
I
there's no
understand.
way that it's going to become less controversial because people
Yeah.
are just fully out on game key cards.
Okay. On the core controversy. I feel like I'm always the one doing
That's what we're
this
here
where
for.
I'm like,
Well, somebody's got to do it.
yeah, somebody's got to do it. Because I personally have always been curious, and for one, some of the reaction I've seen to this has been like, you don't understand anything. I'm like, you're not trying to listen to what he's saying. He's saying like, we're literally trying to give you something that's going to have better like performance on the machine that you have in your hands. And so I hear that and I'm like, I'm personally now very interested to hear, okay, is the read write speed of modern key cards like not good enough for some of the games that we're running? Will they run better when you install on system? Is that why the push to game key cards has been there? Obviously the cost of physical production and all that has to be factored in. But I think that's interesting to look into and probably worth knowing. And I think if that suddenly becomes, I'm not saying it is the reality, but I'm just like, y'all, there might be more story out there than just, I like putting a cartridge in my system like I did back in the old day. And if I can't do that, then is it really a video game system? And I don't know. Like there's maybe more at play here, folks. Let the developers talk. They might have some insights that you might not have. Yeah, that sort of thing. Anyways.
No, they don't. I'm the expert. I know what I'm talking about, Eric. I'm the one who knows everything.
And finally, Nintendo Shadow dropped a new Fire Emblem smartphone game.
This is the funniest thing of the week. What is that?
It's bad.
So
I downloaded it. It's horrible.
It really Among
it's
Us?
real bad.
Oh my god.
Of all the...
It's not even like Fire Emblem. I mean, the opening cutscene's Fire Emblem-y, but it's not a tactics RPG in the sense that you would expect. It's more real time, but also Among Us.
I was gonna say, it's Among Us.
The character models are all these horrible little Koopy doll people. It's not good.
They made them all animal characters. They're all like, I wouldn't say furries, but I mean they
have a Togwell in there, and I'm like, I've been saying for ages, oh god, bring back the Togwell. It's like, oh great, thank you. No.
You would think it was that, because I thought that too, because there's another character that looks like a Vieira from Final Fantasy, but what top down, and this can segue us into the tavern, I guess, is that Fire Emblem Shadows is a 3-player auto battler set in the Fire Emblem universe? Question mark? Yeah, Poe.
The Fire Emblem
some dimension.
Sort of.
Yeah, really Fire Emblem aesthetic, which I'm going to be honest, in this, not always, but in this specific circumstance, is really just anime. like if you opened a box that said anime, you would
I wouldn't even
expect
say it
this
looks
to
that
pop
much
out.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I think of Fire Emblem, I think of Chrom, Lucina, I think of the blades and the high fantasy and specific ways that their silhouettes are designed. I just don't see as much of that in Fire Emblem Shadows. But all of the characters, you're on like a dungeon crawl where you're killing different enemies, but there are 3 of you, and each person is controlling one character. And controlling is a loose word because it's an auto battler, and it does not auto battle well. As somebody who actually likes auto battlers and think that they can be very fun in the right circumstances, this is a bad one of those.
Right.
But you also have abilities, and one of you is the traitor, because it's actually in Among Us. And now you have this weird situation where it's 3 people doing a dungeon crawl, but one of you can hurt the other. And so you have to try and figure out, oh, someone else is doing damage to us that isn't an enemy. Who could the traitor be? But number one, there's not a tell that could either give away or not give away that information. But also, okay, there's 3 of us here. I'll say, Nadia, you are in the dungeon crawl with me and Kat. Right?
Oh,
and you've been told by the game that you are innocent. You are not the traitor.
Right.
All of a sudden, I start taking damage from an unknown source. Nadia, who do you think the traitor is?
Kat. No, it's me.
Wow. We figured it out. So literally within, I'm not kidding you, 10 minutes of this game being live and people playing it, people figured out that one of the only strategies to not get immediately outed as the traitor, because yes, if you are innocent and someone else is getting hurt, by process of elimination, you can figure that out. The only way to not get caught was to harm yourself to cast suspicion on others, but you are incentivized to only harm others because you get bonuses if you destroy somebody's character during a run. That's how you gain bonuses over time, and eventually we'll go into a climactic final battle in which the traitor character will transform into a beast and start attacking the other two, and now you have a boss fight. And so that's where the animal forms come in. It's kind of like Bloody Roar, where they turn into a beast and now they attack. And
that makes zero sense.
It's bad. It's really bad because ultimately none of the systems feel congruous with each other. It doesn't feel like Fire Emblem. There's no discernible piece of what Fire Emblem is that is interesting here. They have kind of a pseudo triangle that kind of flattens everything down into red, blue, green with the kind of type weaknesses and advantages, but even that's kind of unnecessary because you're auto battling and maybe click dragging some abilities at random times. It's just not good. And it annoyed me because for the season pass in this game, the first banner character they have is Lynn from Fire Emblem 7, aka Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance, as a horse girl. So she has the horse ears and the tail, and then she turns into a centaur when she goes beast mode. But I was like, she looks like an Uma Musume. Man, if they made a Fire Emblem Uma Musume, now we're talking. That would be the good stuff. You get like Crom as a horse boy running on the track and field that you train up over time with the three houses systems. That's a good video game right there.
Keep running.
So it feels like a game that arrived way too late. That was probably somebody's pet project that they put too much development into to not shove out the door and try to run 6 seasons and get a few whales out of. But I don't think I've ever been more immediately put off a mobile game that I've been put off of Fire Emblem Shadows. It is bafflingly
I was not
undercooked.
expecting that. Like, it's just such an un-Nintendo thing to do.
Well, is it though? They've been putting out a lot of
horses. Like, I understand why they went for the Fire Emblem well again, because that's the only success they really had in mobile.
They work with DNA a lot.
Well, that'll do it.
And I think it's a DNA joint. But I will say that I was actually... Longtime listeners of Axe of the Blood God will remember that I played a lot of Fire Emblem Heroes at one point.
That was a good game.
And I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a true and faithful distillation of Fire Emblem's tactics and characters down into a mobile format. And it was really fun to collect the individual characters and build the teams and do all the side content. And yes, it was pay to win, but I was able to have a really good time with it while only spending some amount of money. And this doesn't feel like Fire Emblem at all. That's all.
It really doesn't.
It just doesn't feel like Fire Emblem. It's why would you ever bother with this versus any other Fire Emblem that you could play on your phone right now? Yeah.
Well, okay. Fire Emblem Shadows, not recommended by Axe of the Blood God.
Nope. No.
Let's roll into the tavern. And let's really quickly recap some of the news that will be relevant to RPG fans. As we were kind of alluding to, most of the news that was shown was for action-adventure games because it is a PlayStation event. So Wolverine took center place. The new game by Housemarque was a big part of the presentation, which looks pretty cool. I think Returnal, one of my favorite games of the generation. One of my favorite PS5 games, full stop. But first of all, Neo 3, officially set for February 6th.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert releases March 19th. I'm actually looking forward to this one. It looks pretty cool.
I'm concerned this game is trailer bait. I'm concerned this game is just... We have so many features you won't believe what comes next, and then the game comes out and you're like, oh, okay, it's yeah, I get it. But I've heard some positive things coming out of previews. So
Pearl Abyss is really good at the presentation side of things, and also you have to wonder what's going on behind them because stuff like Dokei V have been delayed a lot over the years. Maybe it's just making video games are hard. I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah. Code Vein 2 is out January 30th.
Looks neat. I might actually try it.
Yeah. The Seven Deadly Sins Origin is out January 28th. You're shaking your head. No?
I think the
Out on
Seven
that one?
Deadly Sins is one of the lowest, least interesting shonen anime I've ever watched, and I'm telling you, the listener at home, if you hear me say this and you're like, I like the Seven Deadly Sins, you actually like other shonen anime more, and you just like the things that those shonen anime do, and you want to watch those instead. They do them
I
better.
I like the intro song, which is by a man with a mission, but I've
Okay,
never
well,
seen
yeah,
the
we'll leave the musicians out of this. They
yeah. Otherwise, I have no opinion. But I think I looked at it and said, "Wow, this looks like the most shonen ass anime that ever existed." So
it
I could probably pass.
it's incredibly low tier. I am shocked by just how
Lancer calls
not
it garbage
interesting it is.
tier
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
chat.
Yeah, it's oh yeah, and there's also a lot of really like it gets into the pervy anime stuff, but in a way that isn't
Uh,
even like remotely tied to the plot or anything. It's just all bad from top to
I'm
bottom.
45. I'm good.
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
it.
Yeah, if you want like people with unique powers that are kind of based on the seven deadly sins, literally Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is right there
I was
and
gonna
maybe
say,
one of the best
hasn't that been
shonen anime of all time. Yeah, yeah.
that's been done already? Like I know the Seven Deadly Sins are kind of a theme that is revisited over and over again, but when you think anime and Seven Deadly Sins, that's like the quintessential to me.
You have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I actually like Akame Got Kill, which has kind of loose themes of people having individual powers, fighting for a greater good, that sort of thing. There's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff out there that you can get into that's going to be a little bit more interesting than what Seven Deadly Sins is putting down.
Continuing onward, was that and finally, sorry, and finally, Aspire is remastering Deus Ex Remastered. Fans are not impressed because
Yeah,
Aspire is
I just had to
not known for
pause to make
doing
sure
good
I
work.
heard that right.
yeah. That
Remastering Deus Ex Remaster. Is that what you said?
Yes, they're
Okay.
remastering Deus Ex, one of the greatest PC RPGs ever made. A little janky these days, but people really love the immersive sims aspects, the 2000s aspect. People are like, "What, Cat playing in 2000?" Well, I was playing some Deus Ex. That was pretty cool.
I'm
And Aspire has worked on games like KOTOR and Star Wars Battlefront for the PS2. And the jobs have not inspired confidence.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I think a lot of people were like, oh, I wish Night Dive Studios were working on this one, given that they were working on System Shock and they did such a good job with those games. Like this could have really done with the Night Dive touch, but no, it's going to be Aspire, and the trailers didn't look super great.
I have a quote I would like to read. It's a two-part Blue Sky post, which I believe was put onto my feed by one Victor Hunter, who is not here with us today, but will now be with us in spirit. Um, Part one from at binarypartition.space on Blue Sky. Just play the original Deus Ex, dude. It's not that hard. Part two. Oh, but it's clunky. Oh, it's ugly. Oh, I have to rebind the controls. Oh, I have to download a zip file. Do you actually want to play this game, or do you just want to be able to say that you've played this game? Yeah, that's it. That's at the end of the day, like what it's all about, man. Like the original Deus Ex still looks great, still plays great. And if you play it and bristle at the lack of a few modern conveniences or ray tracing, then I think that says more about like how you want to experience the game than wanting to actually experience the game as is. There's a reason why that game captured hearts and minds back when it came out, and it still can. That's been the biggest thing I've learned from playing. Sometimes people ask me why I don't play the pixel remasters of Final Fantasy VI or whatever. I'm like, I want to play the thing that people fell in love with. I'm not saying remasters are bad. I'm about to talk one up quite a bit, but there's a reason they were good in the first place, and I think remasters should endeavor to provide an interesting avenue to portray that in a new light. And I think a lot of them just try to go the route of, well, what if we threw ray tracing on it? And it's like, no, that kills the vibe, man. That all the screenshots I've
Kill
seen
the
of Deus
vibes,
Ex
man.
remastered, I'm like, that you're killing the vibes, man.
Well, I I think I will decline to do that, but I think y'all can have a good time with it. I have certainly gone through my share of effort to be able to play a game in its original state via some means on my PC. Um, I played a lot of TIE Fighters through DOSBox,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I'm not going to. Uh, I'm not going to go after anybody who decides to do that with a game like Deus Ex.
Well, okay.
Eric,
Let me slightly. I'm not to say that. I think you should try to play the game as it was originally intended. Is what I'm trying to say. As you know, don't lose the spirit of it by just trying to make it look like a modern video game. I think of the Grand Theft Auto remasters are another one I look at a lot as like.
Oh yeah.
They just kind of threw a lot of really things on there to try and make it look quote unquote modern and stuff that just make it look not as interesting or cool as it used to, or like the infamous Silent Hill remaster that like destroyed the fog or whatever. It's like, dude, the fog was the point. The fog was there for a reason. I mean, it was there for a different reason too, but it's part of the game. And then when Bloober did their very good Silent Hill 2 remake, they captured that spirit. That's what I'm saying, is like capture the spirit.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely an art to remakes, as you say.
there's a heart and a soul to a lot of these older games. That's the important bit to catch.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Deus Ex, it was the storytelling and the world building and the immersive sim aspects, and that's the part that you don't want to lose. When I played Final Fantasy V, it was not just the job system, which was really special, but also the joyousness and the sense of high adventure and the music. And I thought that was all captured really well in Final Fantasy V Pixel Remaster. And even though at the end I was fast forwarding in order to be able to grind out the jobs that I wanted to do, I didn't feel like I was losing anything from how I was experiencing the job system, because I was still doing the stuff that I would have done in 1995, just faster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was that I don't. I think
the
you should,
pixels were
when
a
you're
bad
thinking of
example for me.
remasters, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be thinking about, you shouldn't focus over much on the friction as a product of itself. Friction by itself is not good. But when you sand away that friction and in the process start to remove what is the core essence of the game, that's the problem, I think. Right. So if you decided that, oh, Final Fantasy V's job system is too complex and we need to make it more accessible to modern players, that's a problem.
Right.
To me. Fast forwarding, not a problem to me.
Well, yeah, the pixel remasters were a bad example for me, but like Deus Ex is a game that I also think if you booted it up and played it right now, it would feel dated, but it wouldn't be impossible to play. It's not like I think I would rather just have the versions that are play it on the systems that are currently available and try to endeavor to make the best version of that thing without losing the heart in the process. And that's really important. The reason why I did FF6 normal on my stream is, like I said, I just wanted to play the version that originally came out, because that's what I did with Chrono Trigger as well, and it felt really cool, I think, for people to be able to see that stuff in real time and remember exactly how it looked, rather than the like a different version that is updated, and I wanted to try and capture a time capsule as much as I could. So, but Deus Ex isn't. It's really not even that old if you think about it. I think sometimes in games we have a weird driver for what is old, for what is retro, and we think of that as like, oh, that was ages ago. And that's like people who think that like a movie from the 50s is unwatchable because it's too old. Man, like, no, it's pretty short in the grand scheme of things, man. Like, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Eric, you've been playing a remaster. Speaking of Final Fantasy, you've been playing a little remaster recently.
Yeah. So I reviewed Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles for Game Informer. Is my first official review for Game Informer, which felt very fitting.
Congratulations.
I really like it. Really, really like it. I believe I gave it a 9.25 on there. And I came away from it, number one, I think the remaster is not absolutely definitive, but one of the better versions of a remaster we could have gotten. I think the only bummer I had was that there's obviously some content like Balthier that is not in there. I went searching for it, could not find it. They've kind of been out there saying as much. I do like that a lot of stuff like Cloud is still in there. And there was an effort to include things that have not been in the English version. So
Yeah, we had an
the
episode
sound,
about that.
the sound novels, which I did play through part of one of those. They're a little long, but they're very interesting. They're really cool to engage with. For those of you at home who might be wondering where they are, because it did take me a while to find them, you have to go do errands to do them. Do the errands at the tavern, and you will find them. They're kind of the same way you get some of the wonders and the artifacts. That's how you get those. But I mean, I also came away just being like, FF Tactics, we don't. I wrote as much in my review that we don't have a definitive ruling body to determine a gaming canon of any kind. And I was thinking a lot about this while I was playing the game, is that when you're growing up, you read certain books, right? And they're considered foundational pieces of literature that help you understand broadly human writing over time, right? You read stuff like Frankenstein, you read Shakespeare, you read these things that are considered foundational works for understanding human creativity and thought over time. We don't really have that for video games. There's never really been a consensus that has settled that was not just kind of, determined in podcasts like this. So in lieu of that, FF Tactics is one of those games. Legitimately, I think it is a foundational, essential work. I think it is a Rosetta Stone for so much of gaming that comes after it, and still persists as an incredibly good game to this day. And I say that even despite the fact that, when I turn the diorama, sometimes it's kind of hard to see where units line up on the squares and stuff. And I say that in spite of the fact that I think the 11th hour story beats are not great. And that everything after a certain battle happens is kind of like, okay, like, I guess we're just wrapping this up now. I say all that. Tactics is still that game. It's still incredible from the moment you start playing. It just feels like this meeting of minds that came together to create such a tight, contained, joyous, dramatic, dark, exciting tactical experience that you are constantly growing, you're constantly building up. And I really just think it's just incredible. It's so good. I think if you've ever been curious about the tactics genre, you need to play this game. I think if you've ever wanted, when we were talking about mature stories earlier, you want a mature story. This is a very mature story. It's about a boy who goes to Knight Academy because he has dreams of chivalry and gallantry, and then learns very fast how the world works and has to reckon not only with how the world works, but his own part in it, because he was born into a system and is born of a system that will continue to cause the problems in the world. And can he truly be a force for good when he exists inside that? Does birth determine not only your fate, but where you can stand on either side of the line when the line is drawn? And I think it's a really, really incredible game for that reason. If you just want to hear some stuff about how the nobles are keeping us all down, and that when we sup from broth of bean while the nobles fatten themselves on our suffering, man, you're gonna be fist pumping during this game. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. And I think this again is not the definitive all time. I would still like to see some of this stuff, and we'll be a little bummed if it arrives as DLC later, the way that P3 Reload did with the Aegis DLC. I'm going to be bummed if some of the Balthier and Dark Knight stuff arrives as DLC later for Ivalice. I don't know if there's any indication of that or not. I don't think there is. That's just speculation on my part. But
Free DLC.
I really just love this game. I cannot stress enough how much I think it is a must play for so many people. And it felt a bit weird to come out of the gate with my first review being so like, this game's incredible, but they handed me the goat. You can't give me the goat and then expect me to keep within reason, man. This is that game. I
Serious.
struggle to think of really any other game in the genre that has the sort of Titanic presence that Tactics does, and I'll tell you, all of it's earned. So yeah.
Go listen to our Pantheon episode of Final Fantasy Tactics, where we have Shivam on to tell us basically that for 2 hours. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I
a
gave you
good
the
episode.
abridged version just there.
Do they change they stay true to the mechanics? They
Yes.
don't change it up. It's
Yeah, I
still
was
pretty busted.
throwing stones at everybody to build up my JP on every turn, which I like. I think that's fun. I think that's interesting. I think it lends itself to a degree of both interesting game mechanics where you run into some interesting problems where you say like, because one of the things about letting you attack your own units is, yes, you can gain JP by punching Argath in the back of the head, and let me tell you how many times I punched Argath in the back. I actually have a gameplay clip of
How
me
many?
punching him to death in the middle of a fight because I was so sick of him. Argath is the worst character. If you play Tactics, you're gonna learn to hate him. But also, it then lends yourself to, okay, well now white mages can get staffs that actually heal when they attack people, and that becomes a pretty core component of their late game. Is now an attack on a unit that otherwise you'd never really use an attack command on suddenly becomes that much more useful, because now they can use it to heal or to try and relieve doom or something like that. And there's really interesting little mechanics that play off of what feels like kind of a janky thing. And so it's one of those games where I feel by not, someone could have stepped in and said, hey, why do you let people throw stones at other units? That seems like you should tune that up. You should fix that up. Why would anyone want to throw stones at their fellow units? No, that's actually just a really cool gameplay feature that ends up being a cool little thing that you can do. And then you go talk to other people and you say like, yo, I gained so many levels so fast in this mission because I just was throwing stones at Argath the whole time, and now like I got mimed so much faster. And I think that's part of the magic of that game in a lot of ways. So I also should note there is a new script. It's
Yeah.
essentially the same. It's just a lot tighter. I think it's very well written. I think they found a nice balance between the War of the Lions Shakespearean dialogue and some of the original, where it feels very natural. And I believe there was talk out there about how it was done mostly because there's voice acting, and it was kind of portrayed in a way that would make it easier for voice acting. It would sound more natural as actual dialogue, and I think that plays out very well. And by the way, the voice actors bring it in this game. They showed up to play.
I recognize some Final Fantasy 14 characters in there.
Yes, yeah, there are a lot of Final Fantasy 14 voices in there. I was looking, I could not find, because the credits were not listing who voices each character. Whoever voices Maluda, who was one of my favorite characters in Final Fantasy Tactics, she is a major antagonist in the first chapter who just talks shit to you the whole time and rules for it. Her voice work is stellar, absolutely stellar. Adds so much depth to her character. Same with Argath. They got the dude who just nailed the sniveling noble so much. Like, that dude sucks. And I think it just adds so much to a lot of that. I still think Chapter 1 of Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my favorite kind of opening chapters to a game, and it sings in this remaster. Yeah, no, everything is basically how you remember it. There's also a classic version if you want to go back, and I think you have to use the War of the Lions script if you play that, but you can play kind of classic original Tactics, or you play the enhanced version, which has the script. It does have the new look, which looks like Tactics Ogre Reborn if you played that. It's a little smooth for my tastes. It's not quite as crunchy and jagged as I would like some parts of it to be. I think the character sprites look fine. I think the animations look good. It's just some of the terrain and stuff I think people really hone in on because it looks a little too smooth and like Play-Doh-y at points and stuff like that, the way that some modern like sprite remastering, pixel remastering goes. I kind of wish that had a little bit more crunch to it, but that's kind of like one of my only other major knocks is that could have just been a little bit more envision of what the original one looked like, but we all are kind of nostalgic for that vision anyways, so could be that talking.
I think it's pretty amazing that they basically remade this game because so much of the original materials still remained, so they had to kind of rebuild it from the ground up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And it's also great to see because I think there was a valid question about FF Tactics. You know, people do talk about it a lot, but does it have the power to kind of be that game and to really stand out as a franchise when it's really only 3 games and 2 of them are on handhelds, and so it hasn't been seen as a prestige blockbuster game or anything like that in quite some time. And I was looking on the eShop last night at the bestsellers, and Tactics, which is still, as of this recording, not out yet, it already topping charts. And it was like,
Wow.
yes,
Wow.
let's see that. That and another game, which, you know, Hades 2 was always going to top charts, I think. But I'm really happy to see this. I hope it encourages Square to continue to invest in their tactics RPGs and their strategy RPGs and their teams that are making those things, because Triangle Strategy was really good. Like I know I've talked about the Dio Chronicles a lot. It had its problems for sure, but it was interesting. I definitely think about it more often than I think about a lot of other RPGs that I've played over the last few years. I think that's a subsection that they should continue to build upon, and I would love to, whether they go to Tactics Advanced next, that'd be kind of sick. I think Tactics Advanced is very, very good. Or if they just start thinking about maybe, you know, we do some more tactics stuff in general, that'd be kind of cool. But I'm happy that we got pretty solid modern versions of FF Tactics and Tactics Ogre before it, and we now have those as a like preservation tool, as a like carrying it forward to new generations tool.
I thought about buying it, but price is a little steep for me right now.
They're probably on sale.
It's $50, right?
Wow.
Yeah, which is not $70.
Full price game?
But
Yeah. Or was it 60?
no,
Either
no,
way, I don't want to quibble over price. I'm just, I'm a civilian now, and so I'm kind of going, oh,
Yeah, I can check the price right now.
maybe
was
I can wait
definitely
on
not
this
playing
one.
Clubhouse games, Dominoes. Yeah, the price is, the eShop boots so much faster on the Switch too. It's a marvel.
Isn't it
I
great?
mean, the amount of work that
Yeah.
they put into it, I don't want to be like, oh, what
is-
game is worth the price
is
versus what game is not worth the
$49.99.
price. Okay, yeah.
Which has kind of been
Yeah.
Square Enix's, when they're not putting out the premium games, they've been targeting that $50 price line a lot on the Switch 2 especially, because I think that was also Bravely Default was that same price point. And I don't know, in a world of $70 games, I definitely appreciate the little discount for some of the
Sure.
remasters and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
same.
I finished Final Fantasy Tactics War of Ivalice on the PSP once upon a time. And so I think a lot of my brain is kind of going, pick this up again. It's for a lot of people, it's an obvious yes. For me, I like Final Fantasy Tactics just fine, and I think I had the Final Fantasy Tactics experience. But I will not deny that there was a part of me that was like, maybe I should pick this up. It's good to see it again. Good to have a more accessible version that doesn't require me to go and download an ISO or something for my Vita
Yeah,
and put it on Steam Deck.
And I think
Just
I think there was an acknowledgement that for people to want to get this in the first place, they would need to go the extra mile in building a package that would be worth it. And so again, I think the refreshed script, which is very good, I think the dialogue and the voice acting, the sound novels, I think everything put into this. There's a lot of quality of life I didn't get into as well. There's just a lot of really nice things that make playing easier. There's a fast forward button. There's it's a lot easier to kind of picture out all the job stuff now. There's a retry from start of battle or a retry from formation, where you can kind of choose whether you want to hard reset the battle and just go back to the first turn, or if you want to go back to your formation and kind of retool it. When you're in those long castle battles and dungeon battles that are sequential, you can actually back out of them now and jump back, so you don't need to necessarily always drop a save before you go into those. because
Oh, cool.
now like you won't get 3 fights in and get hard stuck at weak Roth and be like, well, my whole save file's cooked. And now you can back out of them and you will have to restart the whole chain from the beginning, but it won't soft lock you there. And I think there's just a lot of really nice things in that regard. Even just having the turn order thing on the left hand side really makes playing a lot of that stuff feel a lot more intuitive and less funky at times, so
Okay.
Indeed. Anything else we want to cover before we wrap up the tavern?
I just want to say very quickly, I'm playing Trails first. I haven't gotten too far yet, but I'm really enjoying it. And I think one of the reasons I'm really enjoying it is because, yes, I've always loved Trails in the Sky, but I entered the series through Cold Steel, as we talked about earlier. And this game really finally put Skies in that sense of place that Cold Steel gave me. So I finally saying to myself, okay, these two are part of the gang now, Steele and Joshua, and they're great. They have like the great banter. I'm usually very impatient with like narratives that are like, oh, I love you, but I won't tell you, and oh, I'm too stupid to realize it. But something about Steele and Joshua is very charming, and I find it very cute.
I do find it weird that we're doing the clueless romance plot, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like there's
absolutely. Yeah.
like, and they're like not being shy about it either, and like I get it, it's like not, but also it is kind of probably, I don't know, it's all over the place. Your individual ethics will determine how you feel about this.
Here's the thing with Falcom, the adopted brother and sister couple comes up more than once in this universe.
That's
So,
odd. That's strange. It's happening
there's
a little
someone there
too
who
often.
has a feeling on
Yeah.
these relationships, I guess. But yeah,
yeah, and also everyone around you being like obviously aware of it. Yeah.
Steele, why don't you have sex with your brother? What's wrong with you?
It's like Clueless. The first time I watched Clueless, I think I missed the part where Paul Rudd was not related to the main character.
Stepbrother,
yeah, and I was like, that. What did I just watch? That's a really dark comedy. That's weird. And I was like, oh, okay, I missed a crucial plot point. But for my personal Trails update, people in the Discord were asking. I haven't gone too much farther. I have met Olivier, who I don't like.
Oh, good old Olivier.
I think he's kind of lame. He just does a lot of. He's like a smooth talker who's clearly not smooth, and he's overly dramatic theater kid energy. And but he has a gun, which is sick. I've often thought, why are none of these people using guns? Because guns do exist, and this guy has gun. So shout out.
Give Olivier a chance. Olivier,
look. When I went back to my 14 live tweet thread and I got to the part where I was like, who are these annoying twins who are just trying to lecture me on politics? Children? Yeah, who are these elf twins lecturing me on politics? I hate them. Like, yeah, everyone grows over time, but
and then by Endwalker, you're sobbing your eyes out.
Yes, yeah. Oh, the Endwalker scenes with Alphino and Alice are ooh.
I think about them and I still cry.
Yeah. So yeah, they will grow up. I'm just letting you know right now. Olivier, probably lowest in party rankings for me right now. I think my favorites.
Understandable.
I love Sherazard.
Kind of a creeper.
Love Sherazard. Love Joshua. Like Estelle and don't like Olivier.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great game to play. Honestly, it's a great Switch 2 fit. No problems with the performance. I'm playing on the Switch 2. I guess you're playing on Steam Deck, Eric, or are you playing on Switch 2?
I'm playing on PC.
Okay.
But I'm also probably going to put it on my Steam Deck for the road trip. So
right.
I don't know what the Steam Deck performance is like, but I guess we'll find out.
Should be good. I recommend it if you're looking to get into Trails. One thing I do want to say, because I saw a couple of people on Blue Sky who didn't really know Trails and they're getting into it for the first time. There's a lot. This is its own world, its own battle system, kind of like Persona has its own system. Final Fantasy. So stick with it. It is a little confusing at first, but once you have it down, you have all the Trails games down. You don't have to think about it.
I'm going to finish at least Trails FC. At the very minimum, I will finish Trails FC, however long that takes. Yeah. Well, we'll see from there on out, but I do want to give at least one Trails game an honest
Oh,
start to
I was
finish.
saying that more for the blue sky people because I saw some
Oh,
people
yeah.
who were like, "Wow, this is a lot to take in." It's like, yeah, the first time I played Cold Steel, I was a little bit like, "What the hell?" But I stuck with it and I really enjoyed it at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Hades 2 is also out this week.
Mhm.
We're really in the thick of it, but we're
Mhm.
also 2 hours deep into this podcast.
Oh my
And
god,
Probably talk about it in
we
another
sh-
episode. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, another episode. I'll share my thoughts on it someday.
Oh,
But, well,
Uh,
I really enjoyed the early access. I'll just say that much.
Cat,
And
favorite
if
god
you
so
loved
far.
Hades,
Who's your favorite god
Favorite
so
favorite
god.
far?
god,
Yeah.
Artemis?
oh, I
Yeah.
love
Artemis.
Artemis is my
It's a
girl
very cat god.
in both
Yeah.
in game and just in real life. Artemis is my patron, I think.
Artemis. If I see Artemis as an available god, I always take her powers.
Yeah, yeah. Artemis rules. I love Eris, the chaos god. Yeah, they all rule. Hades too good.
I like Hades 2. I mean, it's more Hades.
Pretty much, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I wasn't as invested in the actual. I wasn't as invested in the fight against Kronos as I was the I don't like you, Dad. Little son, you're kind of a jerk and that kind of thing. I like the family aspects of the original Hades maybe a little more. They resonate more than the tale of revenge, but systematically, I think Hades 2 has a lot going for it with the multiple paths and things like that. So
I think you
I
should
think
play
that's
more
fun.
Hades too, because I think you're going to start to find that there's still very much themes of family,
Oh,
drama,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
I think
intrigue.
Eric is right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I agree. I just the initial hook, it took me a little longer to get into it than in the original. But once I
Yeah.
got into it properly, I was like, I'm digging this game.
Also,
There's
I
a
think
lot
it's
of cool crafting mechanics. They spent a lot of time thinking on this one. It's fun.
Promoted B.
I like that they all gather together and do witchy stuff, and then say death to Kronos, and then fly off into the shadows. That's sick as fuck. I don't care who you are.
It really is.
I want to be a witch in the underworld.
I mean, don't we all?
Don't we all?
The
Indeed.
only thing with Hades 2 is it can be sometimes hard for me to pick up because I'll think I should play some Hades 2. Well, I need at least an hour to get through a run, and I don't really have time for that, and it's not exactly pick up and play. So I'll find a way to do something else, like look through my magic cards, and then invariably, that's how I keep putting it aside. That's what's happening with Silk Song as well, where I'll go, I should play some Silk Song, but I don't know what I need. I need to get back into it, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then that's how you end up completely losing the thread on a game.
Absolutely.
But all right, we'll have more thoughts on Hades 2, I'm sure, very soon. But in the meantime, that's it for the tavern. Nadia, you got a good one for me here. You got a good nook.
Got a good nook. Well, Kat, I'm just privileged to have been working with you for so long, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you because this obviously is not the end. Anyone who says it is wrong. And without Blood God, I think I would have missed out on a major aspect of my life because growing up, people more often than not made fun of my voice. They said I sounded stupid, sounded like a man, sounded weird. Yeah, Eric's looking at me like even my family were kind of like that. Like because when I had surgery, I had my tonsils out when I was a kid and my adenoids, and it apparently changed my voice completely. I don't remember what my voice was like before, but yeah. So to be able to kind of get on radio and be funny because God, I've had some shit jobs in my life, but this is the easiest one I've ever had. So thank you for trusting in me and for realizing there was something there. Because I'm kind of bad about just hyping myself up sometimes. I just don't know what I'm good at, bad at. And it's sometimes you need someone to point to me and say, you, go do something, you stupid, useless moron. And thank you for doing that for me. And I really wish all the best for you in the land of tea and crumpets.
Tea and crumpets. Well, we're both going to be in the queen or the king now, I guess.
Oh, that's right. You're part of the Commonwealth. Welcome.
Now I'm part of the Commonwealth.
Now you can have good chocolate.
So I'm invested in the outcome of the Commonwealth Games. England's gonna beat Canada. You just watch, Nadia.
We hosted them some year. I don't remember what, but we lost the Olympics. So we're like, we're going for the Commonwealth.
I remember Nadia and I used to be in Talking Time, which was Jeremy Parrish's forums. And I was trying really hard to become a freelancer. And Nadia was already a freelancer. And she posted a whole thread about how it's completely miserable to be a video games freelancer. And
I didn't mean to be
you can
scary.
get into it. Just don't ever expect to, eat well.
That's wrong.
And it scared the crap out of me. But
Aw.
also, I was
Sorry,
like,
Dad.
wow, that Nadia is so worldly and cool. And has
I know
clearly
her.
like a real industry veteran. And I should really look up to her.
Aw, mistake.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Also, I think I'm pretty sure that I DM'd you on oneup.com and asked how I could get into freelancing when you were writing articles for them, and you
Aw.
probably said something along the lines of, I don't know, pitch to them.
Yeah. Get lucky. That's all
Yeah.
it really is. Get lucky. But there's plenty of times in life where luck does just kind of rear its head. So take your opportunities when you can. Even this seemingly horrible world, there's always something to strive for.
And then when Nadia and I were at US Gamer, we would just sit in Slack DMs and complain all the time, back and forth. We were like besties. That's how we ended up being podcast hosts. Is that we were always gabbing about some video game or another because we had similar tastes, and we both came in under Jeremy Parrish's wing for a reason, because we were always kind of like the disciples of Parrish.
We really were, yeah. Like, he was a mentor of mine. I guess he was a mentor of yours as well.
He was very much a mentor of mine, and he gave me my shot. He's the reason that I'm here, not just for the podcast, but to be the editor-in-chief of US Gamer, which kickstarted my career and actually made me visible in a way that I had never really been visible up until that point in the games
You're a
industry.
very driven person, and I think that's going to be great for you when you go to the land of the queen. Oh wait, she's dead. The land of the king, who's alive so far.
Land of the king.
Who's next in succession?
Sorry?
I can't remember who's next in succession, but
William.
King Charles. Whatever.
They have the test. It's all on the test when you're applying for the visa.
Oh, is it really?
Who's the next in the line of succession?
You have to take a test for the visa.
They give you multiple choice and give you like Princess Margaret, who's also dead.
They also ask you who won the Premier League last. They ask you what's in a good pie. You have to be able to provide your proficiency in having a pint, and they ask you for a difference between a Midlands accent and a Yorkshire accent and a London accent, and I can't do the accent, so don't even ask me how. That one I really struggled with.
Yeah, for sure.
The funny thing is that my reels have thought that I'm British for a while now, because I have so many, because I follow a lot of soccer memes. I'm always sending soccer memes back and forth to people. And because I went to England a lot, and because I have a lot of British friends, so I just started getting served up stories by like comedy bits of, oh no, the Northern Nanny's coming down to London, and all the posh London kids are terrified and have no idea. What's she saying, Mummy? What's she saying?
Mummy, she has a funny voice.
She has a funny voice, Nanny. Mummy. So in a way, I'm like going home.
You are,
yeah. But
I think you'll fit right in. You like gloomy weather. You're good.
I've been living in California for 15 years, so
yeah.
I'll admit that I'm not extremely excited about the gloomy weather.
I thought, you're right. You didn't like
I left Minnesota, and I was excited to get away from the gloomy weather.
Right, okay. I'm thinking of someone else. I'm thinking of me.
Get me real excited for that Minnesota weather. Yeah. Pump it
You're
up.
going to love it, Eric. We're going to have it's beautiful outside right now. It is gorgeous. We're going to have a gorgeous October. You're going to love it.
You're going to show up, and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. The fall colors and the little brisk chill in the air. And then come February, you'll be like, I want to die. This is...
Our
That's-
Februaries aren't as
That
bad
was
as they
already
used to be, though.
happening in February, so it'll just be a little bit colder when I say it. It's fine.
February is kind of miserable.
Guess what I just learned about last night, actually? That the UK has spider season.
Oh, good. That sounds
Huh?
lovely.
Yeah, spider season. It's when all the spiders come out,
It's when they move into the rooms, probably, because it's warmer.
and they're big. They're
I'm
all
surprised, actually. Yeah,
And
you
you're
got a
moving
lot of
apparently
wolf spiders.
you can hear their footsteps, and I was just like, oh God, no, nope, nope,
That's-
nope, 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 nope. But that's what I'm
That's
moving into.
adorable. Little
Yeah.
spider footsteps.
I'm going to. When I worked at IGN, my colleague Wes is based in the UK, and he, during the winter, he would look at me sitting out on my porch while we were taking calls, and he would go, "It's so bright. I haven't seen the sun in months." So something to look forward to. I'm gonna have to get one of those happy lights. But
Those are actually
Nadia?
worthwhile.
Nadia, thank you so much for being my partner in crime on this podcast. You have been my lovely co-host for a long time now, and this podcast would not be what it is without you. You've been the heart of the show. I've been really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll
And-
continue to be the heart of the show.
And Eric, thank you for the charity streams and for playing all of those new games that are coming out and having really strong and interesting opinions on them, and fleshing out the content in a way that I wasn't always able to manage on my own, and for producing the show and making the actual live streams happen, and for discovering games like Final Fantasy VI.
I know
For the
right?
first
I'm
time.
I'm the first
Yeah.
one. Have
first
you all heard
person.
of this game? It's crazy. It's called Final Fantasy VI.
And for playing StarCraft with me that one time.
Yeah.
and humoring me when I want to get competitive. And for all the Commander games, I appreciate
I was
you.
gonna say falling down the magic hole with you. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have kind of gone
Yeah.
to a
Saying
little bit
don't
thin.
go down that abyss without me.
Thanks for making me watch Freerun and Avatar and Korra.
Freerun,
Big,
Avatar,
fun.
big
Korra.
appreciation.
What else? I did
really
make you
enjoyed
watch
them.
Spirited Away. That kind of balances it out. I feel that's like a give and take there. Yeah. No, it's been really, really fun. And you're not going far. You ain't gonna
No.
be that far away. So yeah.
And thank you, listeners. Thanks for being there with us and hanging out with me on Discord and playing RPGs with me and being there when I've hyper fixated on various things, from Super Robot Wars to Magic the Gathering. You've been
FIFA.
there through my FIFA. So, oh no,
FIFA arc
Cat's
was
back into
crazy.
FIFA. You've been there with me through my various hyperfixations, and you've supported me during the good times and the bad, and there have been plenty of both. And I've always just been really grateful to know that come what may, I would always have this podcast. And I like to hope that I'll still have this podcast, that it's not
will.
going away and that I'm not going away. So, but sorry to get sappy in all of you. It's just been, I think this podcast has been a really super important part of my life. I'm going to try not to get really emotional here. I'm like getting right onto the edge of it. But
We should go into the post show. You can
just
cry there.
go play some great RPGs, go support your favorite games journalists, and we will see each other again really soon. But in the meantime, I've been your host, Kat Bailey. Thank you so much for listening to me for these past 10 years. And please continue to support Nadia and Eric and Victor and Alexi as they continue to take this podcast in new and exciting directions. And I'll be back by the fire, by the tavern, to tell you all about living in the UK and whatever obsession I happen to have at that particular time. And you'll hear really soon about what I'm going to be doing next. It's pretty exciting.
It is.
I'm really,
It's
I'm
really
really
exciting.
excited. We're headed to the post show now, but until then, for Nadia, Eric, Victor, Alexi, and myself, thanks for listening and happy adventuring.